Hello and welcome to another episode of Straight Out Stanton, Star Citizen weekly podcast. We missed it last week, but it still is weekly. It was just a one-off.
And good reason for that.
Yeah,
talked about it a little bit on gossip.
And yeah, we mentioned the gossip. We had 2 gossips in a row, and now we are back. And even though I was super excited for why we missed it, which we're gonna like roll into in a minute, I gotta say, I don't know about you, Maso, but like I cannot lie, I kind of missed it. It is something I'm looking forward to every week or Sunday. And the other thing is, it was really a good week to miss it though. Like if you're not gonna lie, but like if we could choose a week, there wasn't so little going on, so
wasn't a lot going on. Yeah,
could be worse.
Yeah,
imagine if we got a new alien ship, you know,
that'd be crazy,
and then missing an episode.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, I'm just gonna let you go in and tell us why we were not here last week.
So again, I touched on this in our gossip episode, but if you missed that one, I had an opportunity last weekend to go up to our local motorsport track, which for free, thanks to my friend Michael, who works at the VW dealership. And just turns out that the same company that owns the motorsport circuit also owns the VW dealership, and he couldn't make it that day, so I got to take his spot.
What a nice guy.
And yeah, and I wasn't going to say no to that, because again, normally it's a couple $100 to go up for a track day, and on top of that, I have just finished setting up my tires and suspension and got my car, you know, with a ECU tune in it and stuff like that, exhaust intake, car's set up and perfect, and the opportunity to go and rip it around on a racetrack was like, I couldn't pass that up. So we didn't do gossip last weekend, but I had fun.
I was so excited about you having fun there, and I'll say something. I don't think it's not just the money part of it where you like get it for free, but driving around the racetrack is something that a lot of us want to do, but like you never, like it's not like you personally cannot afford it. Like you could, and probably when you did it, you were like, why did I never tried this before, right? And something like that can spark it, and now, even if you never do it again, which I doubt you will not, but like even if you never do it again, you did it. You know what I mean? Like it's such a for those who love driving and driving fast and like trying to like figure out their own car and all that. I know how this feels because I used to drive Audi GT, like Quattro Coupe. It's a beast, and we don't have a track where we can do. We had like a huge closed under construction highway with like parts of it's not all flat and all that, and we used to go there and race, and there's a feel. It's just something different.
Yeah, and I'm not big into motorsport or anything, but I definitely am like passingly interested in F1 and stuff like that. And in this case, actually, the company that built the track designed the track was actually the same company that has built more than a few F1 tracks as well.
A lot of them, actually, not very favorite ones, because there's not many. Like all of these tracks are kind of hated. It's a German track designer, Hermann Tilke. Whoever's watching Formula 1 knows about him. But just like it's a well-designed track, regardless.
Very technical, and it was just kind of interesting to like put some of that basic motorsport knowledge I had about, you know, like how to enter a corner, you know, apexes, etc., and then actually try to put that into practice on an actual racetrack. And for me, like, I'm really glad that we got to do kind of like a lead follow with an instructor as well, with a radio in the car, and he basically was able to like talk us through every corner, you know, braking zones, etc., and get us kind of familiar with it. And then just to kind of get out there yourself and realize that the guys who are doing this on TV make it look really easy.
100%. And everything like when you look at it from a side, it looks so slow, but in reality, when you're driving, you're on the edge constantly, and
Yeah,
is a huge adrenaline bump and yeah, all
totally.
that. It's
And
just a
like
crazy, unique experience. But
and again, I mean, like this is it's a smaller track. Like it's just over 2 kilometers, so it's not long. But there's 19 corners and like 11% elevation change in it. So
in like
like
different places as well, like their crests and whatnot.
yeah,
I just
and
love, like, before the last show. Sorry for interrupting you, but before the
no, it's
last
okay.
show, before Stanton Gossip, we actually sat down for like an hour and with shared screen, we broke down the whole track together
Yeah,
after
yeah,
Maso was driving it, and then watched someone else drive around it. And I'm really passionate about like circuit racing, like watching it. I'm not a racer. Um, I play games now that that have some racing in it, but it was just clicked. It was so much fun to talk about this, and
mhm,
this is where I told, like, what you actually asked. It was very polite. You don't have to ask about this, obviously, but like, if it's okay if we skip an episode and you go to a racetrack, and immediately my response was like, oh my god, I'm excited about this. Like, I want to feel this through you and all that. It's such a
yeah.
good experience.
Yeah, and it was really fun. If you're interested in looking at the track itself, it's I guess we can put I think we put the link in our Stanton Gossip.
think
It's
I
Vancouver
didn't.
Island Motorsports Circuit.
Oh, I definitely will in this one, and please remind me if you see it. I didn't, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
So like it's a smaller track, so it's like there's a few faster parts in it, but it's not really like a high speed thing. Like I think the highest speed I hit on that course was about 140, just because it's oftentimes very tight. But like on the front straight and the back straight, you can get going pretty good. And again, not super fast, but it's still like really fun. And honestly, when you're in the car, it feels a
it's
lot
fast,
faster
bro. Yeah.
because those corners are coming up real fast. But yeah, it was really fun. I learned a ton about my car. And I like every time we went out for our session, I did better and better, and it was really fun. And if I'm gonna flex a little bit, I was the fastest in my group, and I even kept up with some of the more advanced group drivers as well, which felt pretty good. But it
For the
definitely
first
did
time.
take.
And
Yeah, I'd never been on a track before or whatever, but there's definitely like my first couple times out, like there was some corner sequences that just like really threw me, and it took me a long time to kind of get it through. But once I started to get through some of that confusion and realized kind of like what I had to do to kind of get my car through those corners quickly, it was really fun. I had a really good time. And there were some awesome cars out there.
I'm gonna be an idiot here and say, like, that's almost like losing virginity, and then every other try just becomes more and more natural. It's just what it is. You become one with your car, and it's like it's so
Yeah,
good.
well, and it was really interesting to like finally get my car to a point where like, okay, now I can test the limits of my tires. And I got to tell you, I'm not regretting my tire purchase. They have
It's so
such a
important.
phenomenal level of mechanical grip. Like, yeah. I think that's one of the reasons, probably one of the reasons I was fastest in my group too. I think my car was probably best set up
Tires are
out of
so
anybody who
important.
was
People
there.
don't understand that,
Yeah.
but it's so important. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, that's amazing. To be fair, I'm I'm looking forward to you doing it next time and just talk about like how different it is, and because it's just like less pressure and all that, if it
Yeah.
ever happens. But
Oh, it will happen. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure at some point, like because my buddy Michael, I mean, if he has an opportunity to throw these my way, I'm sure he probably
but
will.
now he knows you're interested first, so it's going to
Yeah.
be even easier, right?
Yeah. Though I will say I don't want to do it too frequently because ultimately this car is my daily driver, and driving on a racetrack is very hard on it.
Yep. Sure.
Like
You just need
especially
you need more
especially
money
when
and
I
just
was
get another car, man. That like
Yeah.
track car.
Well, at that point I need somewhere to store it, but yeah, no, just like I definitely when you're learning too and you're not really super sure about how to kind of like take the corners that you're going into. I mean, I was a lot harder on the brakes than I probably would be if I had a better knowledge of the track. So I'm sure I probably did quite a bit of wear to my brakes this time around. But so that's why I don't think I'll do it a ton, but I'll definitely go again for sure if
Can't
the
wait.
opportunity arises.
I cannot wait. Feels good, man. So good.
Yeah, it was really cool.
So usually we start this with like what we did this week in games, but this was not games, but it's still fun. When it comes to games, like I don't know about you. You were playing actually Star Citizen quite a lot until recently. When you change a game, me personally, I'm not playing Star Citizen right now. I am following everything, obviously, like always, but I'm not playing it. And I actually last week I did so Burning Crusade came out, classic in World of Warcraft. So I leveled up my hunter to level 70, attuned to Karazhan, and I'm like ready to like do some raids and whatnot. But I also figured out I really can't stream that a lot, so I tried something that I never thought I will do, and that's Final Fantasy 14. And actually streaming that is a really good experience. It's not my kind of a game. I'm not an anime guy. I have nothing against it. It's just like doesn't really work with me. And and then the whole MMO is like super story driven, and I'm skipping. This is crazy. I'm skipping like everything, and people get so frustrated because of that. Like, because there's so many cutscenes. You wouldn't believe. Like, you do 3 things, and there's like 10-minute long cutscene, and they're not like voiced. Most of them are not voiced and all that. And I'm just like skipping through it, and they're like, "Please don't do that." And I'm like, "I don't care. I just want to do dungeons and raids, and that's my thing." So I figured out I'm pissing people off, and I decided to dedicate this weekend and just go through all the leveling system, stuff. And I did it. I finally did it. So now I can just stream hugging dungeons, basically. But yeah, but that's it. Like not much happened in my life. Oh, my studio door like collapsed, and I have to find a way to transfer everything into my apartment, which is kind of shitty. But at the same time, it's fine. It's a change. So this might be the last time you see me in this environment. Recording the thing.
It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be the same.
It's going to be very similar, though. It's the same. Like, it's the same apartment, basically. So. You played Stellaris.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, as we kind of covered, they removed the cargo trading aspect of Star Citizen, and for me, it's not even necessarily that all I wanted to do was cargo haul. It's just that having that cargo hauling there as an option of other things for me to do was just enough to make me kind of go like, yeah, okay, I'll play Star Citizen, bounce back and forth between bounties and cargo hauling and maybe do some mining, etc. But with that gone and with cargo hauling basically back to being broken, I haven't been playing. But yes, I did pick up Stellaris. I've been meaning to do it for a long time because I really like 4X Empire Builder games. But I was a little bit off-put by it being real time, because I like in my experience, Empire Builders are usually so dense that you have to like there's so much that you have to micromanage, and the idea of not basically being able to do that in a turn-based kind of an environment was like, whoa, how do you do that? But turns out that was kind of unfounded, because I mean, yes, there's a ton to manage in Stellaris, but it's very much like a
proper flow kind of.
Yeah, and
it's like accounted for, I guess. I've heard really good things about this game, man.
It flows slower, right? And I guess the other reason I was a little bit concerned is because I've played other Paradox games where, again, like it's a 4X retail a 4X kind of like Empire Builder in real time. I can't remember what it was called, but it played way too fast. So ultimately, you'd get to a point in the game where like there's just too much happening too quickly to be able to actually really manage your empire, especially if you're playing PvP. But yeah, no, not the case in this at all. It flows nice and slow, but not too slow. Gives you enough time to kind of work things out. And also there's a pause button, which I'm not sure how that works in multiplayer. It probably doesn't, but for me, when I'm learning the game, it's really handy. You can just basically like pause the play, read things, try to figure stuff out.
Well, that's
And
all that
there's-
matters, right? Like if you can pause, then it's almost
Yeah.
like turn-based. I'm sure
It's
it doesn't
almost-
work in PvP. Like that would be crazy.
Yeah, no, there'd have to be something. I don't know. Anyways, like I'm not sure how that works, but yeah, I've been having a really good time with it. It's a hugely dense game, and there are so many expansion packs. But I'm just playing vanilla right now, and yeah, it's really fun. So,
You should stream
Yeah.
it sometimes. I'd watch that.
really,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it'd be pretty boring.
I don't think it is, man. There's so many people who are playing that game. You're a space nerd, anyways. I think that's like a
Yeah.
perfect space nerd game. And if there's a
100%.
pause, like you can pause and like just talk about some things while you're doing it, like how they did it right, wrong. You like that, anyways. I don't think it would be,
That's true.
and it's chill.
That's
Like you can
true.
stream that for like 2 hours and have fun. You know what I mean? Like
Actually, that's not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea. I think I'm
I'd
gonna
watch
think
it,
about
man. Like I'd watching that for sure.
because
It,
that's one
and it
of the
looks
things
great. It looks beautiful, right? So
Yeah. That's one of the things I'm really excited about with it is they really do the astronomical timescales well. Like you're like when you're reading the flavor text and whatever, you're like oftentimes stumbling across ruins that are like a couple million years old and stuff like that, which pans out. Oh, and also if you want to refer back to the episode, the Absolute Zero Effort episode I did on like dead races, these guys do it perfectly. Like yes, there's a lot of aliens out there, but there's way more dead aliens.
Yeah.
And it's fun because you're just you're right, it's 100% it's a space nerds game.
you know what I mean?
You know? Yeah.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah, I'm really I've been playing with just one like pre-made race right now, but I love games where you have the ability to kind of like customize your race if you want to. Plus, I like the idea. I'm playing as mushroom guys.
What? Oh, that sounds good. I play as potato in. They laugh at me. I chose. So Final Fantasy 14, everything is kind of anime, and I'm not into that. And I usually in MMOs, and those who watch my streams know, I make myself. I'm always a bald, bearded human. I think that's, especially if you're streaming, it kind of makes more sense. And people, it's kind of funny. Like people come in there like, "Oh shit, your character looks just like you," and I'm like, yeah. And it happens so often. And here I tried to make a guy, but I wanted to do healing, and the only person who can be like bald and bearded is some huge, I don't know the races and everything. And I was like, no, you know what? This doesn't, rock my boat enough. So I went to them, and they have like, they're called Lalafels, and they're like super fucking tiny. They're like potatoes. They grow from the ground or whatever, sprout. And apparently some other races are having fun eating them. Like literally, or I don't even know, man. So people are, and now it's funny, I have a tiny Lalafell female who's a kind of a wizard healer, and then people, the interaction in that game, if you're talking to another NPC or another player, you click on them, your character looks at them, and in stories you see like the NPC talking to you, and they look at me like a mushroom, right? Like I'm looking at it like this. It's so funny. People are making jokes about my character. They can do what I like it. And it's so funny.
Yeah.
Like I actually like my character for the first time. Even though it's like anime and everything, it's so off my thing that it makes me giggle. It's kind of cute. I don't know. But there you play mushrooms, I play potatoes. That's it.
Yeah. Definitely different, but yeah, these guys are like distributed intelligence kind of thing, where like one, like you could in theory have like a planet that's inhabited by almost just like one interconnected fungal kind of colony, which, man, that makes my space nerd happy.
It's so good.
Yeah,
dude, I would 100% watch it. You could even make like themed 2-hour streams that you can post on YouTube as well. It would be, hey, listen, think about it. I mean, I don't want to push you into it because you might not feel like doing it, but I can, and if I would watch it, I'm not the only one. That's always like, that's how I think about like what I'm gonna do on stream, and I'm like, if I would enjoy this, someone else would. So I got to make sure that I kind of enjoy it. So if someone else tells me, hey, I like this, that you're not the only one. If there's someone who likes it, it's it'd be cool.
interesting.
Even
Yeah, I don't know.
sorry, go for it.
I was just gonna say I had a good time. It's something to think about, anyways.
Because it's so fast paced. Like right, when you're playing Star Citizen and you're in combat, you're focused on your screen or whatever. Here you can always pause and talk for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Who cares? It's a strategy game that looks amazing and it's space and everything. And I like streaming games like that. I used to stream FTL, and just like you pause it and you talk about your thought process, and you know what FTL is, right? You play.
I do. I love FTL. I played it a bunch. Yeah.
Even better now, if you if Maso decides to stream it, just like he's streaming this one on Twitch TV/MasoCast, which we do every Sunday in like kind of different times. He's got some new hardware, which I didn't expect.
It's not for streaming. I didn't expect it either, to be honest. Like, I have been looking for a laptop to do recording on for a while, because my electric drum kit, I can plug it directly into a laptop. I have some software and stuff, but I just haven't had I've never wanted a laptop, because I like to be able to upgrade my my hardware and stuff like that. But this time,
bro, it's a nightmare when it's with something. So I had to, working over cruise ships, I had to have a laptop. And it came to a point where I was looking into, even for many years now, you could buy these like little like box PCs, right? Which are not, it's not like Raspberry or anything like that. It's just a proper PC in a smaller box. Cooling can be an issue and all that. But before my last contract, I was like, man, I'm thinking about buying this. And that's how much I don't like laptops. But they can be good nowadays. Like, they're really, I know a lot of streamers who stream with laptops, and
I mean, this one would be able to handle it for sure. But and the main thing is like, I've never really, especially because, for recording, you don't need a high-end laptop. But I also wanted a media PC as well, that I can hook up to my computer and stuff my TV downstairs. Like if I want to watch true 4K files, I can't do that over Plex and over the network. So
honestly, Raspberry
bitrate's too high, but
it's like $30, and if you want something to watch stuff, and just leave it there. Look it up.
There's a couple options, but so I had that, and then at the same time, I wanted to build a gaming PC for my partner Leah. But like, I don't know. So these had all been kind of like floating around in my mind for. I also needed a laptop, because now that I'm doing like tuning and stuff on my car, I need a laptop to be able to connect to it. And then so I just kind of like hadn't really been looking on the high end, because I do feel like with high end laptops, you buy something and it depreciates very rapidly, and a few years down the road, you want it to get used, or you want to get rid of it. But when I started kind of looking at everything I wanted to do, and especially with the silicone shortage right now, where like you couldn't build a gaming PC even if you wanted to.
Only pre-built stuff. People are buying pre-built pieces to rip the card out of it. That's where we are right now, bro. It's crazy.
And then selling the rest. I've seen that a few times. But in this case, I don't know. I just was like, well, okay, like what's out there for higher end stuff? And the best reviewed laptop for like 3 years running now is the Republic of Gamers Zephyrus G14 or G15. And randomly, as I was just scrolling through, I saw one that was $600 off, and I was like, whoa, okay, so that's putting it basically down to a level where, anyways, the long and short of it was like, I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm gonna get this, and if I don't like it, I will return it. So it's Zephyrus G14 with a Ryzen 9 5900 in it and an RTX 3060. It's officially more powerful than my desktop, and the more I play around with it, the more I like it, so I guess I'm keeping it.
I wouldn't be surprised. You could like sell it probably secondhand for more than what you bought it. That's crazy.
Wow, I don't think I will. I think I'll probably keep it for a few years. I'll use it for recording and stuff like that, and then I'll just kind of sell it and kind of recoup some, some of it. But my guess is like, honestly, with specs like a 3060 and 5900 in it, like I'm sure that'll be able to handle gaming just fine for at least
come on,
2 or
this is
3
a
years.
gaming,
So
but it's Republic of Gamers, dude. All my GPUs for the last couple of years are Republic of Gaming. Like I have Strix.
yeah,
I'm not buying what's the name, TI series. I'm buying Strix for the last couple of years, and I've
Mhm.
never had an issue with these. I just love
Yeah.
Asus. Asus used to be like idiotic amount of power for price, but
Yeah.
then it's like gobbling engineering. Like sometimes it just doesn't last as long. But they've changed that. Like you still get the really good price for like, this is just no hashtag not sponsored by Asus. Just like I'm having such a good time with their products for like I don't know, like 6-7 years now, and I'm really I don't know, like I would just buy Asus every time. I don't know.
My last 2 motherboards have been Asus because similar thing. Like they typically are very, very well put together, tons of features for the money. But I will say that personally, this build that I have on my desktop right now, I ended up going Gigabyte because they're high end. Their Gigabyte Aorus brand motherboards have basically the same quality and functionality according to reviews as the Asus stuff, but it was like a couple $100 cheaper. So like,
Okay.
I kind of had to go with that. And that's honestly was something I was reading about with the Republic of Gamer stuff. So often, apparently, their price is starting to creep up, and it's not that their quality is
like
decreasing
Alien
or anything.
No, but it's like Alien,
Exactly,
right?
they're developing that brand awareness, and they're starting to capitalize on it. So, but I hear you. I mean, like
They also look badass.
I don't think I've ever had a problem with Asus products. So
yeah, especially
and
ROG.
this laptop is like hands down the most beautiful thing I've ever held in my hands.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Everything you buy there, GPU, you're like, oh man, I love having this in my rig. You know what I mean? Like it just feels fucking good.
Yeah.
By the way, Asus, if you wanna sponsor us,
yeah.
If you don't, it's okay. Free shout out.
No, it's not okay.
No, okay.
Give us free shit.
All right. This week, I promise, I'm getting back on that. Last couple of episodes, I did not add timestamps, and actually, someone told me that in my streams. The problem is, like, we were ending very, very late, and then I would go to sleep after upload, and I would forget to go back to it and do the timestamping. This week, we got to do it. Like, there's no way I have to do it because this was a long intro, which I'm having fun. But yeah, we just gotta make sure that those who don't care about our private things can skip. Although, why would you?
Good call.
I'm kidding.
That makes sense.
That's fine.
It makes sense.
All right, so we're gonna get into the news. This is 2 weeks news, okay? And I'm gonna. So last week we did not do our show, so I'm gonna start with that. We're gonna go through it briefly because I'm sure more people are interested in the newer stuff this week. Last week, we had in ISE. There was one thing that I wanted to bring up, which is they basically confirmed it was an ISE about Bangle, and it was not a banger. Okay, I'm gonna walk out now.
Get out.
But they basically confirmed that Bangle is the largest ship that will be in PU, which I'll just accept it. I will always think that it's not as big as I would expect it to be, but it's okay. It's not small. It's fine.
I do understand it from an asset perspective. Like they said, right? Like they put the Bengal in and it crashed. It crashed the performance even on their internal builds, right? So like I get it from that perspective, but it would be cool if like the Retribution was something you got to see, or a Kingship.
Lie to me, CIG. Lie to me. Give me the shell of a ship. I don't give a crap. You know, I just want to see it.
That's the thing, though.
And shit breaks. You know.
Yeah. Again, I mean, it was the shell of it, and it still crashed it. So I don't know, but I mean, obviously, we don't have a lot of the like Vulcan tech in the
Yeah,
the
it's not
interior
optimized
ship.
really, like, right? It's
No.
you have to. And then another thing I want to say, like, it's fine. They can put in the story or something. I'm sure they're gonna explain why the ships got a little bit smaller over time. Then give me, derelict sites of fucking massive ships from the past.
Well, that's kind of the weird thing for me. Like them saying that the Bengal is going to be the largest ship in the PU. Okay, so does that mean we're just not going to see the largest Van Duel ships? Like the King ship is supposed to be what, 2, maybe even 3 times the size of a Bengal?
Yeah.
So
I guess that's only for squadron. Or maybe there's another thing. I just want to mention it. Sometimes in ISC, you get the developer just saying things that might not be true. And I'm not trying to like bash on them or anything like that. It's fine. It's like, that's what they're talking about right now. Or God knows, like it's fine. But even if this is the biggest ship, it's a big ship, okay?
It is. I hope you're right there, though. I hope it's kind of more of the, like maybe what they meant to say was it's the biggest like ship that you'll be able to actually, because they have said, they have said that the Bengal will potentially be something that you could board and occupy in the PU, and I would be
or
okay.
repair and fly and stuff like that. So if it's the large, but I was listening to this, I was like, come on, man, tell me that's the largest flyable ship, player-owned ship. That's fine. I have zero issues with that. Even if it's a Javelin, I don't care, because manning these ships is like impossible business anyways. We'll see. Lore,
but they've got the lore down for why we'd never be able to see the inside of a Van Duel ship.
There you go.
Anyway,
like I'm okay with that stuff, right?
Like they 100% are basically built like Dead Man's Trigger, that they self-destruct every time. Like there was only one King ship that humanity has ever captured, and it wasn't because they fought it. It was because they found it, and a radiation leak or something like that had killed all the Van Duel inside before they could trigger the self-destruct. So, like the lore is there. I just come on. I hope at some point we get to see a Van Duel ship that size.
That'd be cool.
But
but then again, recently they said that we are not going to see all the ships that are in the lore, and they're kind of backing up. And you know what? If that's going to make the game come, and then we talked about this as well. Like potentially we can have a DLC like 3 years from release, and they're like, hey, capital ships DLC. Whatever, because then they can focus only on that or something. Who knows?
Well, or just like they said, I mean, like stuff changes based on what becomes possible. Like for example, when they first Citizen, they basically were like, there's no way we're going to be able to do landable planets. And it wasn't until one of the guys who came over from CryEngine or Crytek, who'd worked on the engine, was basically playing around with it in his spare time and was like, I figured out how to do planets. So like it's entirely possible that at some point down the road that happens too. So I don't know, I guess we can cross our fingers
if that happens after they release the game, or
yeah, exactly, yeah, for sure. I 100% don't prioritize it.
Well, they're gonna do whatever the fuck they want to do, as we know, but I would hope for the other thing that was shown that actually surprised me was hacking tools UI kind of. And
I was really curious about what they were going to do for hacking.
I don't really understand it. Like I saw it looks complex, and it looks like something you wanna fiddle with. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, ooh, I wanna try this. It looks, I mean, obviously it's a mini game of a sort, which is normal. Like what else would you have? But it looks very, very pleasant to the eye and makes you curious. Like you wanna try it. Well, at least for me.
It looked to me kind of like that Pipe Dream game or like mini game. It's been in a few different video games, that style of hacking. I think Deus Ex, if I'm not mistaken, was something similar to that.
I've heard someone else mention that as well. I think Mike or So I haven't played those games, so I don't know. I know about them, obviously. They're iconic, but I haven't seen the hacking.
Yeah, I think I hope that they pan that out, and I hope they manage to and this is me like doing a bit of imagine or whatever, but what I would like to see is like for, you know, those sorts of hacks to potentially get complex enough at the high end to be something that, like, you know, some people are going to be good at it and some people are going to suck at it, you know?
Yeah.
And
Or
for that
tools
kind of help.
that, so for
Yeah.
example, in Eve,
Yeah, sure.
it's like, so it has like, it's been a while. I used to do this for a living in Eve. So I would go around a nullsec in my small Astero, and I would find lost like civilizations, whatever artifacts and whatnot, and then you would have tools for two different kinds of hacking, basically, where you have to break through the firewall of whatever you're finding to open the, you know, inventory of it. And there were like 5 levels basically times 2, but like 5 different levels of the stuff, and then you would have energy that you can use to like try and it was actually a mathematical thing. I don't want to go too deep into it, but if you knew what you're doing, you were definitely much better at doing it and you would know what to do. But also what Eve does so good is there's booby traps and like different, but like crazy. It's not like, so your ship can explode, you can detonate whatever you're, and or it can trigger automated defense systems or spawn fucking 3 classes higher ships, or release the gas that kills you and stuff like that. And we started like learning like first 3 numbers would mean a level, or I'm getting goosebumps, like I'm not even kidding. Like I really enjoyed hacking in and that whole archaeology kind of gameplay in EVE Online, and if they can do that, like obviously different, obviously, I mean it already looks different, but it gave me that notion of, oh, maybe it's gonna be like super exciting. Very good.
Yeah,
I wonder if we're gonna be using hacking for like basic stuff like unlocking doors on someone else's ship and stuff like that. Like, I never thought about that. Or engineering.
I don't know. I hope so. I hope that I mean, I don't think it's going to be like that initially. I think the tier 0 version will probably just basically be, you know, like if you want to hack down your crime stat, this is how you do it now, instead of going and like plugging in a thing. But okay. I would love to see broader applications, you know, hacking doors.
I mean, it would make so much sense. And then even you can like, have ships that are, you know, like what's like, I always forget what's the name. Herald,
Herald, or like the Sentinel, for example, is actually supposed to be an E-War ship, and I think it would be really cool if like part of E-War was also like maybe hacking as well. I don't know. I'm pulling out of my ass there. I don't know if that's the intention or whatever, but
what are the fact is they're definitely working on it. It looks good. I was surprised, but I don't know if they ever showed anything like that before, but I saw it for the first time and I was like, okay, this
you know what else I really hope that they do for the tier 0 is hacking comrays remotely, so that you can basically do it without getting a crime stat.
I agree. That would make so much more sense. Oh my god, yes.
Yeah.
Or if a comrade would not, so if you come with a ship, like the ship has high sig, right? So the comrade will pick you up and you'll get the crime stat. But what if you could EVA into comrade from safe distance and then hack, because there has like it has computers and all that, so something like that, or both, doesn't matter, like if you don't have a ship.
That was in, I think, in 3.13. If not, then it's coming in 3.14. But like, it's the ability to basically sneak into areas where you're not supposed to be without automatically getting a crime stat.
Okay, like stealth gameplay basically. Sort of a stealth gameplay. It's space.
A portion of stealth gameplay anyways.
But, I mean, let's face it, like stealth will be reduced signature regardless of like if it's on foot or in the ships. That's what it is in the space games, right? So it makes sense.
Well, they've even said that like the noise you make as on foot is essentially just represented by like similar to a ship, right? Like it's just a similar signature. So if you're stomping around in heavy armor and sprinting everywhere, like your signature for
Yeah, we have
sound
that
is
already
going
in
to
so
go
many
way up.
games. Mm.
Yeah,
Like Tarkov,
and
for
that
example.
yeah, and that's like their next. I think it's 314 or 315. Not confirmed yet, obviously, but oh no, it's 315. The FPS scanner and radar. That's basically it. It's like signatures basically applied to a radar that you can have on foot, kind of a thing. So you can kind of see if that NPC over there is making a ton of noise. He shows up on your FPS radar.
What's the name
Um,
of the Fallout bracelet that you use? I forgot.
oh, Pip
Pip
Boy.
Boy. Yeah, we're gonna have Pip Boys. Yeah. I'd rather have honestly, I'd rather have a Pip Boy than a fucking
Mobiglass.
yeah. That's I don't know. I mean, if Mobiglass is like in my eye, sure, I'll buy that. But
Yeah.
that like bracelet with like different color.
You know what I want them to do, and they have said that they intend on kind of making it so that your Mobiglass ends up being something that's like more customizable. How cool would it be if you could go like retro, like
Yeah.
go like Drake style Mobiglass, where it is something closer to like a Fallout Pip-Boy,
Yeah.
where it's like the green screen with like, you know, monochrome kind of lines.
Yeah,
and
let's
stuff
go,
on
dude.
it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I would have that 100%.
yeah, for sure.
Uh,
I guess the other thing that they touched on a bit was with the Bengals specifically. This is something we didn't
oh yes.
mention.
Yeah.
Was that they figured out basically they built the system for AI turrets, so like AI blades and stuff like that. So basically to have a turret run without having a dude in it, like an NPC, which is a step. It's a step that needed to be taken. They did it in this case just to make it so that the turrets could run without basically having to render an NPC in the seat, which was just like hugely resource intensive. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're basically going to be able to use that tech that they built here for what they wanted, kind of AI blades and stuff to basically do. So yeah, other than that,
Well, there's one more thing about that IC, and that's gonna conclude that week. But I was
Wait,
really irritated by IC that week. We were not talking about it, but because we didn't have a show. But this is something I wanted to talk about. Like they constantly talk about how much work it is to put these things in the game, and this was mentioned so many times that it's like raw. If you remember, like that, these things piss me off. Like, okay, bro, like you guys are working a lot to make this. You're also making shit ton of money, and you know, I mean, are you complaining about work? I don't get it. Like it, I don't know if you've listened to it, but it started drilling my ears. Like, okay, you work hard. I mean, I understand, but like, what do you like? How am I supposed to feel when I hear that 7 times in one IC? Just tell me, like, how am I supposed to feel? Should I not fund the project so we don't have to work them? I don't get it. Like, what are they trying to say?
See, the way I took it was basically like like almost taking pot shots at armchair developers, which was like, oh, just do this, it'll be easy. You know what I mean? Well, it's not easy because nothing in game development is easy.
Oof.
So that's kind of more how I saw it, was like expectation setting.
I don't like that, man. I don't like them crying about working. I'm
don't
sorry,
think it was crying. I didn't interpret it as crying.
That's how it comes to me.
Yeah,
that's the message that comes to me, and I hate that. The other thing is, they were saying how much time it took for them to set up Bengal and the turrets and all that, and I'm like, wait, why are you wasting that much time, so much that you have to talk about it? And I see to just put the Bengal in the game that does nothing. Now I was so confused about that one. Like, I'm like, what?
Because they're gonna have to do it for Squadron 42.
Yeah, but Squadron 42 is not PU. Like, that's a closed environment.
They even said that when they put it in on their own closed environment, it was like basically crashing performance because they hadn't optimized it or updated it at all. And now, if there's anything negative I'm going to take away from that, it's that it just, to me, proves how far away Squadron 42 still is. And then just so, like, the thing that frustrates me about that is, like, how did you ever think that you were going to be doing Squadron 42 beta, 2016, and then what was it? When did they say
never
that they were
talked
aiming
about
for
that.
beta? 2018. Like how did they ever think that they were going to successfully release Squadron 42 if it's still
Stop.
like
No.
a year away from completion?
It's not. So someone explained this so well. We watched this video together and talked about this. Is all marketing. Like when Chris Roberts says this is going to be done in 2 years, and he knows it's going to be at least 10 years. Like that's what it is. Like that's today's project. I don't know. I don't know. Advertisement, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know. But they all know. They're just saying these things because they have to, and they know very well that they actually know the estimates. They're just never saying that.
So I should give them credit for 2016 because that was before Planets. And I can understand how basically, in that case. But with the 2018, we're aiming to have, I think it was 2018, they said they wanted to have Squadron 42 beta in 2018, end of 2018, or was it 2019, something like that. And I'm just like look on the progress tracker now. You can see like they're still working on the levels, and those aren't even scheduled to be finished until like all their chapters aren't even scheduled to be finished until like end of this year.
Well, you can have beta without that. Also, I mean, I don't know. You're probably right, but I want to say, like, if Bengal, I don't know how big of a role Bengal has. If that's what it does, it's like somewhere flying around using their AI turrets, then without the new render and everything, that doesn't mean that it cannot come out in beta in a couple of months. It just means that they're like, it could be fun. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know. And like I've said, you might be right, but I don't know if that's what it is. You know what I mean?
I guess you're right about the optimization thing. Like that is something that is done just before basically going to beta,
or even during beta, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays.
But also, I think you're also right in saying that it doesn't necessarily have that large of a role in Squadron 42. At least from what I've seen, it looks like the bulk of the ship you're going to be based out of is the Stanton, the frigate, and then it looked like at some point there's like a Javelin destroyer group, but I can't remember. If I had to guess, based off of CR's previous game, I would say basically that you only start kind of seeing the Bengal in the later portions of the game, like towards the end.
And probably just to impress you, like it's there doing some damage or something.
Goes up for a fleet battle or something like
exactly.
that.
But you're not like, it's more like probably like Gillian Anderson saying, okay, there's a Bengal, we're good, odds are on our side or whatever.
Battle.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Speaking of which, this is a tangent. Now when I mentioned Gillian Anderson.
No, we don't do tangents here. That's not what this show's about.
I watched the TV show. Did I talk about this already?
I don't think
Stanton
so.
Gossip. So I wanted to watch this for a while, but I didn't want to click on it because in today's day and age, whatever you click affects everything that happens in your life ever. And this show is called Sex Education on Netflix. And the only reason I wanted to watch, I don't really, that sounds too cheesy for me and all that, but Gillian Anderson is playing the main role. And she's a mother. Oh, it's really good. I'm not gonna go into details, but it's teenagers and sex issues, and that's like a recipe for disaster and cheese.
I did watch that.
It's so fucking
really good. It was really good. Yeah.
So there's 2 seasons. I watched the second season, is a little bit over the top.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
But it's still
great though.
Fucking good. Like compared to what I expected. And you know what? Gillian Anderson looks good. Old. I'm gonna say that, like, not as like a sexual thing or whatever, but she's just like carrying her age so fucking well. Because for me, she's always, Fox Mulder's partner. With like red hair and everything, and young and whatnot. But I watched it. I was like, you go. Let's like I'm proud of watching you before and now, and like this is actually some proper acting, and yeah, it's not an easy role as well. She's a sex therapist
Yeah.
and it's all about her son, so you can it's
Man,
like,
I totally forgot about that show. That was a really good show.
and some young actors that are so freaking good playing these
So
really
good.
difficult roles. Like it's all about sex, so
But it's done so it's so well. Yeah. Anyways, yeah. Total tangent, but that was a
the
great
last
show.
thing, they have LGBTQA, everything, asexual, everything, and it doesn't feel like it's like pushed into it because
Ramming it
today
down
you
your
need to
throat.
have all of that, right? And
Yeah.
you have watch it. It's
That was
really
really
good.
good. You know what? I totally forgot that she was in that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that was a week before. So this week we have Alien Week, which is obviously something that we expected. And with Alien Week, like a few days before it started, we got a new ship, which we're going to talk about in a moment, which is called Gatac Railen. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that properly.
If you're going off of, well, anyways, I guess we'll get into that.
We'll get into that. But we also had IC and SCL, which I just want to go through this quickly, and then we can go to Alien Week because that's more of a meat for the news. So SCL, again, we had Disco Lando and Jeremiah Lee. This episode, I watched it. As you guys know already, I really think Jeremiah Lee is an amazing character, but more importantly, like super talented artist. And he showed it here more than ever in this episode, and they toned down on their like banter.
Yeah, they
like,
weren't
between
they
two
weren't
of them.
trying so hard with the
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say anything because I didn't watch it.
No,
'cause
but
this
they
is one
did,
of
they
those-
did. And that's really healthy because you know what? Now I think that they did not maybe even try too hard, but like they were under pressure because everyone expects them to be funny.
Yeah.
So they and then probably watched the show, two of them, and were like, let's just be ourselves. that's good enough, and it was good. However, you really don't have to watch the whole show. So basically, Jeremiah Lee, to no surprise, took an old photo of Disco Lando and turned him into a four-eyed furry animal race. And my suggestion is, if you don't have time to watch it, because it's like an hour and 17 minutes, I think, skip through it like 10 times and watch the progress. And holy shit, because I saw this on Twitter. I skipped the episode Friday and I saw everyone talking about like this raccoon race or whatever, on Twitter, and I did not even, it looks so good that I thought it's some joke that because Jared is just a funny guy on Twitter, everyone should follow him. I thought it's something about that, and then when I started watching, I was like, oh my god, he actually made that from this. And he just flexes how good he is in an hour. Like,
well, you were saying it too, like as you were going through it, you were kind of skipping through it with me on screen share today, and like it does look, you're just like, where is this guy going? Because he's literally just like chopping rough shapes out from like other pictures and throwing them on, but the end product is really impressive, and I will give them that. But for me, this was an auto skip because I just don't care about these episodes. Like it's a waste of time. We're never gonna see this guy in game. So I mean, I guess if you are interested in the interactions of Jay Lee and Disco, then great.
Like stand-up
comedy. You want to see some really good, really obviously talented, people working at their craft, and that's fine. But for me, like, I just saw this and was just instantly like, whatever.
I think that's what it is, though.
I have to be clear, like, I'm not salty really when we get an SCL that is like this, because I mean, we talked about this a little bit off stream, but we just don't have expectations for
I really expect a lot from IC, and I don't expect anything from SCL.
Yeah.
And I think SCL is probably there to show you who is CAG paying to work on our game. As in, like, okay, so these guys are really talented, and if you don't trust us, like, you can see it here. And that's
a
okay,
good way to look at
right?
it. That's a good way to look at it for sure. I never thought about it that way. But yeah,
However,
so for me it was like,
no, I'll give you that. No, I like Jeremiah Lee, so it's and this one is more fun than when he's making uniforms or whatever. Although yeah, whatever. But it's just skip through it if you don't have time to
Yeah.
watch it, and you'll be surprised what he did. And I'm never bummed about SCL, honestly. Like I don't. Sometimes I'm gonna be like, if I have shit ISC and shit SCL, then maybe But other than that, I just don't. Yeah, what you said, like SCL is just like a bonus that is always hit or miss.
sometimes
And it's always hit for
good.
someone, right? And a miss for
Yeah.
for someone else. So it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Now I do have a huge issue with IC. So, man, we talked in our last Stanton, Straight Out of Stanton, we had an IC that was all about Hercules, which was very disappointing to everyone, or majority of people. It was a ship that we already had in the game, basically, and they talk about ship, and it's just like, And then this IC again. So before we get deep into this, we had a new ship preview, and then we had alien races lore kind of refresh from the lore team. And just before I start literally shitting on IC this week, I just want to say both of these segments are amazing. Okay, so they go deep into the new ship, which is Railen, which is a new alien. I was kind of asking for this. I was more asking for a human brand, but it's fine. Whatever. I got a new brand. So it's a new brand. It's a new design language. It's a new design philosophy. And then they go deep. They go deep into the process of making it. We'll have to talk about the ship itself, and it was great. Then they go into the lore team, and they break down all of the alien races that we know so far and refresh our knowledge about them. Dude, for me, ISC is something new and exciting they work on, and I'm just not getting that for a long time now, and I'm thinking maybe I'm fucking wrong with like what is ISC supposed to be, because I'm not getting any new stuff from it.
I don't know. I would say you're not wrong in that. I feel like, I mean, you're right. We didn't get a ton new besides the new ship, but again, I mean, should that even be necessarily in ISC? But
like if these were like standalone, like sorry, go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like their logic with this is like it's always somebody's first episode kind of a thing. So doing like a brush up on like, here's the alien races we have so far. Like, I understand from their perspective, but they wouldn't have to do that if they organized their damn videos better. You know what I mean?
That's
like
that way show.
That way new players could go back if they wanted to learn about aliens and go back to an episode where they talked about that, instead of having to constantly release a video that refreshes your new player base on
I just feel like aliens. They have nothing to talk about, man. Like, that's my impression. And
yeah,
so if with your logic there, so okay, let's talk about aliens every episode, or about the coffee mug in the woods that Chris Roberts left when he was pissing the tree. I don't know.
They do that a lot.
I know.
Like they constantly will do, and that's the way I feel like it is. You're probably also not wrong in that. Like, I imagine right now where basically everybody's focused on just getting the back end tech working. I can see it being a struggle to kind of like have weekly relevant new content, but yeah. Anyways,
I will never get what I want, okay? But in my eyes, it will be so fucking refreshing in today's day and age if Jared started with, hey guys, we're doing on this backhand shit, and we are really not, this is not fun to share. So we're going to refresh because of that, we're going to refresh your memory about alien races. Yeah. And I'd be like, agree. Let's go, man. Like, that's fair. You guys are working on something that's not fun for ISC. Fuck my eyes. Like, that's I need that. I need that trust, man. Like just tell me what it is, bro. It's fine. We're backing you anyways. You know what I mean? Like, tell me what it is. And then on top, we're gonna, and I think this IC was extended. It was like 17 minutes or so, which is longer than usual. So I guess, so my first thing was like, I rewatched this and I was like, man, I wish this ship was a special, because it's a new ship. It's your moneymaker. Just make a special episode about it, you know? And then I was like, okay, but it's extended IC, it's fine. And then I remember, oh yeah, the other part is alien races that we know about. And I'm like, it just doesn't hit the spot, man. I don't know.
Yeah. We did get to see some kind of more updated. No, actually, now that I think about it, I don't think there was really any updated art either. I don't know. I didn't mind the alien section because I like Sherry and the lore team, and I like it when they nerd out about things. I like it when they go into the, you know, like the little details that, you know, previously have only been written about in like lore posts and
She's
stuff
so
like that.
excited about, like, you can see they're all talking about it and they all like know their shit and they all love it, but bro, her brain explodes. Like, she's like, rah, and then she's so excited about it.
Yeah. So I personally didn't really mind it. Yeah, it wasn't anything new really, but it was still fun to watch, fun to listen to people, like you said, who are excited about it, and it kind of like, you know, like there's that little bit of like excitement that just kind of rubs off because you know, like you're around other nerds who are stoked about this.
No, but I watched the whole thing with like my eyes open and my mouth open. I loved the first and the second part. Like, I love it. I think this was really good 17 minutes of my time. I watched it 2 times.
Totally.
Right? So I have nothing about what it did. But again, I'm just like, is this really ISC? That's the only problem. Like, fucking give me that and ISC. Or tell me, you know, wah, 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 we don't have anything for ISC, guys. We're gonna give you this amazing episode of other stuff. And that will work for me 100%. Like 10 out of 10 times. Fuck it. You know, it's normal. Okay. Definitely worth to watch. Like you can hear in both of our voices.
It was entertaining. Like,
yeah,
it was entertaining. Yeah. It's just frustrating for us when we sit down afterwards and we're like,
something new. Now, I mean, it's time. We have a drought. Like, give us something new, and not the shit, obviously, but something actually new, right?
Like, what are we going to talk about now? And I mean, I suppose we did get some conversation out of this. It just wasn't about Star Citizen content. Yeah. It was about, you know, what is this video series supposed to be about? But I do still think that there's stuff to talk about with the ship. I mean, yes, okay, it's just a ship. It's not going to change anything in game, really.
Well, it's not just a ship. I would disagree there. So let's start this. I think we can have this as a section. Timestamp. So we're going to talk about Gatac Railen.
Gatac. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry.
There's like a hard slash there. Apparently, you remember in ISC, Sherry corrects. John Crew.
I was just about to say, sorry, Sherry.
No.
Fanboy.
Yeah.
Can you say it again?
It's like Gatac or something. Like, there's like a little bit of like a, there's like a, or it's a Gatac or something like that. There's like a.
No, I think it's the first one. Gatac. Okay.
Dale, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. Or Jail. Jail's the guy who can actually speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a new thing. We'll figure it out. But it's definitely Railen, or maybe not, whatever. The ship, it's so Alien Week drops 2 big news. One, we got a new ship that is a cargo hauler and looks really good, in my opinion. Regardless if you wanna, like, I'm not a alien ship guy. I don't care about alien ships, but I get misunderstood here big time. I want fucking alien ships. I want a bunch of them. I want to see them around me. I want other people to fly them. I'm just not interested in piloting them. That's all. Like, I want. And this ship looks fucking good. There's a problem with it. It's not a problem. I'm okay with this. It's a ripoff of an Eve ship again.
Is it? Oh,
yeah, 100%. But the difference is, like, the Eve ship is like more of a smaller fighter, and this is a hauler, but that, like, front part, I can show you a picture later, it's fine. Different coloring and everything, but still, a lot of people reacted to it immediately. That's fine. I don't mind that at all.
I just feel like this is like a permanent, this is always going to be a thing with sci-fi franchises. You're always going to have designs that look similar to other designs.
It's a great design.
It looks great.
Badass.
I agree. Yeah.
So that's the one thing. The other thing is Banu Merchantman jumped in price up to $500. Everyone expected this. We
Nobody
didn't
was
know.
surprised.
Yeah, we don't know when this is going to happen, but we knew like if you have, it was 350 if I'm not wrong, or 360, something like that. And now it's
Something like
500.
that. Yeah.
The only thing that I'm thinking of is like maybe it's gonna come out soon-ish. Although what would it even do? But like half of the ships cannot do what they're supposed to, so it'd be cool to have a ship in just in the works to see it around because that's
I think
one
it's
of the
gonna-
crowd favorite.
I think it's going to jump in price again, and I don't think that like it's scheduled to be complete work at the end of this year. It's not going to. It's going to get pushed.
Okay. What do you think the price? I think 750.
I think it's going to be Carrack price at least. Yeah,
What's the carry price?
650.
Maybe 650. Yeah.
Might be more because it's supposed to be big, right? Like it might be more like Polaris price. So yeah, like 750-ish. Like it's
We'll
supposed
see.
to be getting bigger, but yeah, we will see. But that's what I saw when I saw this price go up to 500, like this large of a jump. To me, that says the next time we see that, that's going to be capital ship price.
Yeah. However, Railen came out and it's $200 for Warbond, like for new cash.
225, yeah.
225.
Without it.
Yeah, with the store credit. And well, you told me that Paul said that this is expensive, and I was mind blown by how cheap it is. First
Me
of
too.
all, let's preface
Yes.
this with like every fucking ship in this game is expensive. We're talking about $200 for
An
technically a
alien
JPEG,
hauler.
which is a shipping game and blah blah. But if you compare this to other ships, for regular Star Citizen nerds and all that, I kind of feel like this is really cheap. So we have,
It is.
it's like 300. How much SU does it have? 300 plus
300
SU.
something, yeah.
So more than Taurus, more than Freelancer Max, less than Caterpillar.
Less than a cat, but not by that much.
But you know what? Same or even slightly more than, what's her name? Starfarer?
Yeah, I guess that can be in the comparison, but it's not really.
Well, sure, it's not. But
hauler.
and then it has open cargo, so the interior. And I'm glad they went with this because we all get tiny hard-ons. Pardon my French. For interiors of the ships, and this one is kind of special, which we'll go into detail in a minute. But it feels like a home potentially for someone who likes alien ships and alien tech. And dude, I think like this price, I think this, I was expecting this to be like 400, 450.
I was definitely thinking at least around the $300 mark for sure. And I mean, it's concept, so probably going to go up. But right now, I mean, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot about this ship, I think. Like, first of all, I should clarify that what Paul was saying in his Discord was that it was expensive when you compare how much SCU it has to a when you compare that to like a hull series. So like a hull B, I think hauls around that amount of SCU.
They're so limited though.
That's kind of it. Like I think it's a mistake to compare this to that sort of a ship, because
this is your daily driver or ops ship that you also can carry cargo with. Like I mean, dude, this and look at I don't know. So
I really don't think that that's a good comparison. I think it's better to put it in kind of more along the lines of Constellation, Mercury Star Runner, those sorts of ships. It's just more of the cargo focused version of that sort of like medium large ship, right? Like where the Constellation is supposed to be more of a fighter slash jack of all trades ish, in that it can carry a vehicle. It has the detachable snub. And this
has missiles
MSR
as well and whatnot, right? Like it's not
2 size 4 turrets, man. Like it's okay, they're turrets and everything, fair, but like You know,
It's
like
armed, bro. I don't think Call Series is going to have any of that shit. Like they need
no, and
escort.
look at where they're placed too. You know, like they're on the sides, which means they can both face straight front or straight rear. It's not a long ship, so unlike the Caterpillar, which has those 2 size 4 turrets, but one's at the very back and one's at the very front. You know, you have the limited kind of arcs on that. I think personally the turret positioning on those looks pretty damn good to me.
Before we get into how cargo is like kind of revolutionized, not really, because we have Nomad already, and the interior and all the tech that comes with this ship, like that is completely different. While we are still on the price topic, if you buy this, you get Cartual and Caterpillar as loaner ships.
Yeah.
And I bought Railen with my store credit, because
well, it makes sense. See, if you want the cat, man, like this is the like cheapest way to get the cat.
It's $465 worth. And this is a concept. So this ship will come out in, God knows, like a year or so, probably. Maybe a little longer. Who knows?
I don't think so.
You don't think
the
so?
way they have it placed, they're aiming for like end of this year, early next year. And I could see that, to be honest. Like even what we saw, yeah.
Like if you want to fly Caterpillar that you can't buy, by the way, you cannot buy Caterpillar. And you can now get it for store credit, $225, and you get Cartual, that is arguably one of the most original designs in game. That's a starfish ship, for those who don't know.
Yeah,
it's like that's fucking crazy. And here's where I think about the price, bro. Like that's 465 loaner price, and you know, like I don't know. I think this will be over $400 when it comes out.
You think so? I don't know. So. I think this is gonna get. I think this will be around the $300 mark. Is my guess, and it's anybody's guess at this point, because you have the other side of things. You know, with the Cartual, the Vanduul blade, and like other alien ships being super expensive
alien
for what
tax,
they are,
basically, yeah.
The alien tax, and then you have the other side of things where you have the Talon, which they just released, which was. I mean, there's an alien tax on there, but it's not much more than a Gladius, you know?
I disagree with you with this one, though. Because if you think about Talon, now we have them again. You can buy them, by the way. Great ships, right?
Yeah.
They are 115. And I think they're on par with Arrow. Or Gladius, but sure. Arrow as well, right?
Easily Gladius, yeah.
And Arrow is 75. And this is 115. Now, percentage-wise, that's a huge jump. That's like
if you're comparing it to the Arrow,
and 75.
But like the Arrow is literally the cheapest fighter in the game. Can you compare it to the Arrow? That's not a fighter. I'm sorry, it's not.
What do you mean Mustang Delta is a fighter?
It's a retro. It's the same thing as like the 325. Like I'm sorry. Like they're good ships. I like flying them and I like them, but I don't. They're retrofitted civilian craft. The Arrow is a dedicated combat fighter. It has always been a dedicated combat fighter. It doesn't have any other variants. All it does is fly and shoot things.
Sure.
So
I think alien tax is still a thing, though. And people have it for alien ships.
I think it is. I think it is going to be a thing, but I really don't think that you're going to see it double in price when it releases. I just don't. I think they're trying to. I think that this pricing to me indicates that they're steering away from that heavy alien tax thing, because it gets them in shit. Like you have the. Do you remember how much noise the people who owned the Prowler made when it was released in game, and it was like 2 million credits to buy in game.
Oh yeah.
And like
these things are so hard to talk about this. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean,
what
do you say about like $1,000 ship that in game is like a couple of million and it's like whatever, dude. Like, you know.
Yeah. But anyways, price wise, I just gotta say, like I was really tempted. The only reason I didn't pick up a CCU for one was because I just don't know where it fits in my lineup. Like, I love cargo hauling,
And
but
yeah, I only took
I
it for the
have-
loaner ships. I'm
well, I
not
want
gonna
it for
lie.
the cool factor, man. Like, I would daily drive that thing. I love the
I
way that
wouldn't.
interior looks.
It looks great.
I love all the articulated, like I love
I
when you
don't.
walk up to the console and it goes like
I
assembles in
really
front of you.
don't like that.
Oh,
So
I
this is
think
my
it's so cool.
disappointed. So that's the next thing that I want to talk about, and that's I feel like they wanted something revolutionary, and I feel like they just overdid it, like hard, like from the elevator into the interior like components. So basically, what happens is your elevator is detached from the ship. So to enter a ship, you call the elevator. It's almost like a drone device, like it's not physically attached to the ship. It levitates down to you, hop on it, and then it flies you up to your ship. I want my ship to be one part. I don't know. The alien tech, I'm not against it, I guess, but I just don't like how it looks. I would never have a ship that has like parts dangling around. And then when you get inside, they made this crazy tech where so there's two different things. Like if you want to sit in your cockpit, right, chair, you call the cockpit chair, it like disassembles, assembles in front of you, you sit on it, and then it fucking flies you back to the cockpit or whatever. It's like it's an overkill for me personally.
You know why though? This is actually something that's in lore.
Sure.
And one, it does actually match up with the Xi'an tech, because like if you summon the ladder to get into a Cartual, it's not a ladder. It's like these like levitating steps that basically detach from the ship and then float out, and you like step up on like Gravlev steps. Okay. So it does fit with their brand basically, but the lore behind this, and this is definitely some hand wavium because how, but the Xi'an discovered anti-grav tech like a long time ago,
and now they have to eat it. It jumps out of their fridge.
Basically,
everything has to be okay.
That's literally in the lore, man. Like they use it in their clothes, they use it in their dining. They even actually mention that like it's used for things that humans would consider super frivolous, but for them it's like, it's normal, but yeah, they use it in dining, they use it in everything, right? So like that's their jam, is anti-grav tech.
Well, that it's okay. So I'm not saying it's disgusting or anything. For me personally, it's an overkill. I don't want to look at it all the time. I'm sure it gets old, man.
I like it. Oh, it might get old, but I still think it's cool.
One thing that I really liked was the way you get your components. I think this is a great idea where all the components are in one spot, and you tell your console, I want power plant, and then it brings power plant to you, and then it brings it back, right?
I missed that.
Huh. I think that's fucking amazing. It's a cool idea. Now, I don't know how this will go for... There's your hacking, man. How the fuck do you get components when you raid this ship? It's like, fuck. Like, I don't know how to make it, spawn the fucking thing.
You wouldn't be able to do anything in these ships unless they're powered. Like, that would be a definite downside of Xi'an ships. If you don't have power, they're basically a brick.
I did like that, but this is what I'm saying. Like, it's not just a ship. I think they brought a lot of flashy things with it, and we can already, like, if you watch that ISC, there's solid like 7-8 minutes of tech demo of this ship where you can see all these dingling parts like transforming in front of you and all that. It looks very flashy. So yeah, I mean, listen, I'd like to see this tech on an alien planet as like a part of an artifact or entrance to a building or stuff like that. I just wouldn't fly a ship like that. And I think it's really cool and flashy that we have it. No, that's fair.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this ship is going to be a huge hit.
Yeah. Well, plus like the way it transforms too is like really cool.
Yeah. So
like I
and it's a sleek design. It looks like a flying brick, but it fucking looks good. You're gonna buy it.
No, here's the thing. It's like I have 2 ships that I'm still looking for an exit plan from.
Ask yourself this question: are you going to fly this or MSR? It's that simple.
Well, that's where it comes down to. But for example, in this case, I can literally get a CCU to this ship for $5. $5 is all it would cost me.
There's gonna be more ships. I mean, do it now because it's just gonna go up in price. So and then you can change it to something else if you want to.
Well, that's kind of where I'm. Yeah, but the dilemma for me is like that's exactly it. Like I plan on basically using cargo hauling when I start the game, if it ever comes out, to basically earn the money that I need for like, or that I want for other stuff. Like cargo hauling is going to be my money maker. Is basically the way I built my ship or my fleet, and the way I have it set up is basically so that I have a smaller cargo hauler, which in this case is an MSR, which is 100 and something SCU. You know, good daily driver, like more than capable for doing kind of like smaller cargo runs and stuff like that. And then my step up
also
from there,
data runner and
also a data runner. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's a versatile ship. And then my step up from there is a C2, which goes from 160 SCU to 600 and whatever. You know, which that's a fairly large jump, but I'm, you know, like so that's my cargo hauler. And then at the very top end, I have a BMM, which is, I know it's not a cargo hauler, but it does hold a lot of cargo.
Well, I wouldn't. Well, it's fine because it's growing in price anyway, so you want to have that. But I think we might be like super surprised with like what they come up with that ship when it comes out.
Possible.
I think they might want to block it from being a cargo hauler. You know, like you'll probably be able to do it, but they might make it so it's like really not affordable or something like that, where you want to keep it stationed somewhere or something like that. I don't know. It's like out of my butt, but like
we'll see.
I kind of like to see that. I kind of like it gives you a possibility, but
I think it's still going to end up with about 1,000 SCU by the current.
Oh, the number of SCU will be massive. Yeah. I'm not talking about that, but I think this SCU is made for you to have enough space to buy and sell things. Come and leave your ship instead of your ship going to places to trade.
Maybe it's entirely possible, but as far as I have it planned right now, that's my cargo hauling progression. And with this ship, it's like it would fall basically between the MSR and the C2, and it's too big to start with. It is, and it requires 4 crew. So like, does it really fit between my fleet as I intended? It doesn't really. I just think it's cool.
It is cool. Even to me, it's cool. I like the design so much. I wish it was human design.
Yeah,
with borrowed technology.
I really liked the interior too. Like I thought the interior was like,
I need to see the interior. Like
we need to see more for sure.
Like it looks good.
It's big.
So that's the next thing. The ship has open cargo, which gives it a lot of space for the interior, as we said. And this is not new. We have it on Nomad. Nomad has open cargo as well, and quite a lot of interior for such a small ship. And I love that ship. I think that's my small daily driver. I have it with LTI and skins and everything. I know people hate on it. I hate how they are selling it as an upgrade or, you know, neglecting their starter ships so that you can spend more money. I'm 100% with everyone who says that. But I tried the ship and I fell in love with it, even though I did not expect. And fuck it, I'm keeping it. I don't care. But open cargo, here's the thing. In this ISC, they talk about how this is supposed to make it as a trade-off. So you're going to get a little bit more cargo, but it will be in the open. So it's more prone to being stolen, damaged, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not buying this, man. Like, I don't know about you, but I think this is a complete and utter bullshit. First reason is, in a space MMO, people are going to attack you when they know they can defeat you. That's my take.
Yeah, but NPCs are just going to attack you.
Are you going to fly to where you think NPCs are going to be able to take your cargo?
That I can't answer. And it's not even necessarily that I think that they will. Here's the thing. I don't think necessarily I would be going to somewhere where I was at risk of having my cargo stolen, but Like if, for example, you're flying, and you get pulled out of quantum by some pirates or something like that, and you're trying to fly away, you could potentially take damage and lose cargo as you're trying to basically escape.
Sure. You
so,
could.
So I mean, I see that there is potential for it to be a downside, but I personally, given what they have said is going to be the shield complement on that ship, I don't think it's very likely. I don't think it's anywhere close to as vulnerable as a hull, especially even just the way it's set up. If you were really concerned about your cargo, you could basically just flip and keep your front facing forward.
Well, we don't know how easy it's going to
rear.
be to flip that thing. It's a brick, after all.
It's a Xi'an cargo ship. Xi'an is known for maneuverability, so I think as far as like ships of its size, I think it'll probably maneuver, pretty well.
So
if we're going off speculating anyways.
If it comes to that, so the only way I can see it is actually working, which would make no sense in the first place, but if they really want to push for it, the only way I can see it is actually working is that the shields are not protecting cargo area. So the shield is like tight around the hull of the ship, and cargo is literally unprotected, which would make fucking sense to make.
Oh, I think that would be too far in the other direction, personally.
Because otherwise, if the shields are protecting the cargo, then who cares?
Well, you do have ballistic bleed through.
Sure.
Technically.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's too early to say, but I think that it will technically be a disadvantage, but I don't think it's going to be as much of a disadvantage as some people think it is. But ultimately, that's going to come down to balancing, and that's so far off, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
In the short term, I would say it absolutely doesn't make a difference. Like, who cares if it's external? So what?
Well, right now, I don't care about any of these things while we're in alpha. What I'm saying is just like when the game comes out, but
yeah,
I'm not buying that being a downside. I think they're just trying to make it. So, but
I agree. I think it will be technically a downside, but I don't think it's going to be much.
Unless someone can come to your ship and like detach one part and take it away and run.
Speaking of hacking, imagine if you could hack it so
everything
hack
like drops down
and jettison the cargo off of it.
Yeah.
Or even just like a few, like, can you imagine that actually? Like, you're like flying along and somebody's behind you in a herald or whatever, all silent, and just like hacking and like clunk, dropping little pods off of your ship as you go. Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that would do it for Railen. But yeah, Alien Week is happening now. If you are interested, go get it now, because I don't see this ship staying on the sales list all the time. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they keep it for a bit because it's a new thing, but I don't think so. Keep in mind, if you buy it now for $225, you get $465 worth of ships in Caterpillar plus Cartwell. So not a bad. I've melted something. I don't know. Oh, I melted Terrapin. That doesn't work. And I bought this.
It's so damn cool, but I just don't need it. It just
don't get
fit.
it. You just don't get it. It's fine.
But it's cool.
You can fly mine when
okay, I'll fly yours. You're not gonna keep yours.
I'll keep it for a while so you can fly it. It's not a problem.
Okay, cool.
Okay, we're done with the news. Holy moly! All right, good.
Is that a record?
I don't know. Well, technically, we almost had a section about the new ship, which could have been a topic, basically. But yeah.
No, I mean like for like short amount of time, because I've got us at what, like
an hour and a half.
Hour and a half. I guess that's about normal.
I guess.
I feel like we've gone 2 hours before just on the
maybe. Okay, the topic that we have for this week is, well, it's something I was thinking about. Like, it's about how the skins are affecting gameplay, and So my question is, should all ships be should all ships have skins? Like in general, but we're gonna go into it deeper so that you can understand what I'm saying. So I'll start with World of Warcraft, to no surprise. There was a time when Arena showed up in World of Warcraft in Burning Crusade, which we're reliving now with the Classic, where when you enter into Arena, let's say 2 versus 2, so me and Maso versus 2 random dudes, and
Yep.
I'm a healer, and I will look into their team and tell Maso, dude, that paladin has no fucking gear. Smash him. Right?
Yeah.
How do I know? Because I recognize he has 2 pieces from Karzan and the rest is like level 70 blue PP gear because I know how it looks.
Yeah.
I love that, man. I love being able to, based on my knowledge, recognize what's happening in front of me. And nowadays in World of Warcraft, we have something that's called transmog, which means you can technically walk around naked or transmog any of your current gear into anything you want, which means when you get into the arena, I don't know what the fuck are you, like no one knows, right? So I have to check your health, which you couldn't do before, and therefore think about like, why would you have this much health? So maybe you have less gear or whatever. Like, it's so ridiculous. I hate that. And the same translates here, because I think in PvE environment, who gives a shit, right? It doesn't really matter. But in PvP, I think it's very important to know what you're fighting. Now, I'll just add one more thing before we start, because I know people will say this. We're in space. Everything's happening fast. Usually the encounters start when we are far away. You don't even see the ship and all that. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing. But maybe also someone does scouting for you before the ship flies away and they tell you, oh, it's Cutlass Blue. So you know they have interdiction. And then you know what you're intercepting or whatever. I think certain ships should have visual recognition. And with skins, I kind of feel like we lose that visual recognition.
I disagree for a couple reasons. But first and foremost, oftentimes, especially now, I'm not looking at the color of the ship when I'm figuring out how I'm going to engage it. I'm looking at what my targeting indicator is feeding me. So when I target a ship and it comes up in the targeting screen, you can see what it lists what ship it is, what variant it is.
Yeah.
And also it shows you a picture of it too. So even if you're beyond visual range, you know, like I know that a Cutlass Blue has that distinctive kind of bubble cockpit. So if I see that, even if it's not giving me a readout about what ship it is, I'm not even seeing the color. It's beyond visual range. I just have them targeted. I know that that's a Cutlass Blue because I can see the cockpit bubble. Or if it's a Cutlass Red, for example, I'll know because it's missing the top turret. So personally, I don't really feel like the ship skins really have much to do with that. I mean, I can see I can see where you're coming from, but I think even from a lore perspective, I just think like in the case of emergency vehicles, like police vehicles, police car from one country to the next or one jurisdiction from the next, hell, sometimes in the same jurisdiction, you know, don't look, you know, don't always have police markings on them, and when they do have police markings on them, they're definitely not the same. So I mean, know.
They're not the same, but you always recognize the regular police car.
Yeah.
Or an ambulance. And an ambulance, even more importantly, because and this was okay, so the reason I brought this up, well, I was always against this, but the reason I brought this up is the new Cutlass skins that we could get, whatever the Drake Day, Defense Day,
the black and red ones,
which look great, by the way.
They look great, yeah.
But what happens is, like, you can use them on all 3 variants. Now, I would be 100% okay if there were like 10 different skins for Cutlass Blue. okay, but it's all Cutlass Blue skin, and then 7 skins for Cutlass Red, and then 25 skins for Cutlass Black because everyone's fucking using it, or something like that, you know, like. But if you go further back, I like Reliance, and I can recognize Reliant Sen, I can recognize Reliant Mako, and I'm sure that they had this as an idea before, because on purpose Reliant Mako is bright yellow because that's your Channel 6 News April O'Neil.
Yeah.
It's a news van. You're not supposed to attack this. They're just reporters. Same goes for Cutlass Red. It's an ambulance. There's a reason why Apollo is white or red, because they're ambulance. And I know in space you will not see this, but you know what? We're gonna have some battles, hopefully, in atmosphere during the daylight, and hell yeah, you're gonna see this if the ship is red or you know, white or camo, you know, camo green or whatever the fuck, which is obviously a military ship. And I honestly think this, because it translates further down, like your rovers and other vehicles also have skins now, so we can't have this visual recognition at all, basically. Like, it just goes into garbage. And keep in mind one thing, I'm not gonna quit the game because of that, right? Yeah. But I would really like to be able to recognize the it's just nice, like something lands next to me, I'm like, oh, that's actually Sen. Nice.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think it, like, the important part is going to be to look for specific features as opposed to necessarily looking just for the color of it. You know what I mean? Like,
but I mean, you can have both. Why are we like?
Well, because for example, like, here's another, like, in modern day and also in Star Citizen, like, there's just going to be situations where you're going to want to use that vehicle, but you aren't necessarily an official ambulance. Like, if you're a private search and rescue, or let's say a pirate search and rescue, you know, you don't want to look like an ambulance because you're a pirate. You still kind of want to look like, you know, fly under the radar, so to speak, but you're out there to kind of scoop your pirate clan's you know, ejected pilots or wounded pilots or whatever, right? Same thing with the Cutlass Blue. The way I saw the Cutlass Blue, like, having the different actually, frankly, any civilians owning the Cutlass Blue, I see that as like, and I don't know how common this is in Europe, but in Canada, the police sell off all their old fleet vehicles.
You cannot buy police cars here.
See, yeah, you very much can here.
That's crazy.
And they say the only stipulation is basically it cannot look like a police car anymore. But it's basically a police car under the hood. It's still got the same engine, same suspension. You know, it sometimes they even have the bush bars on the front. You know, like, they just have basically stripped off the emergency lights and the decals, and you have a police car. So that's kind of how I saw it, and it just, like, it's still recognizable. Like, there's times where I've like had to put on the brakes very strongly because I was like going maybe faster than I should have, and I thought,
I swear to God, that's why they sell it there, man. Like, they just want you to be in fear of a police vehicle.
Well, that, and they just want to recoup some of their fleet vehicle cost because they sell them, right? So but
they could paint them like black or whatever, you know, like, before they sell them.
Instead they just leave them white. Basically, they pull all the decals off and leave them white. But that's kind of how I see it. Like, there's still that visual recognition. I can look at that car and know that was an old police cruiser, if it's not blue and white or whatever, or black and gold, depending on jurisdiction. But yeah, so I think more so, like, we'll get just accustomed as skins become more popular and prevalent. I think we'll just get used to recognizing the other things about the ship. So I'm not sure, I don't know the Reliance very well, but, you know, like, you'd be looking, when you see that it's a Reliant, you'll be looking for, okay, what is the components that make it a Sen or a Mako? It's
so hard to see, though, because Sen's sensor looks like a camera, which is the same on Mako, and Hana has a gun there, and then the regular, what's the name, Reliant, shit, I forgot.
Corey. The Corey. Yeah. It's not actually the Corey. It's Corey.
It doesn't have, like, well, it has some guns, but they're so similar. And then the core is blue, Hana is green, and Mako and Sen are kind of silver-ish, but one has brown pinkish stripes, and the ace of like card symbol on it. And
there are going to be ones. There are going to be ships that are like you're going to probably have to rely on a scan to be able to tell them apart.
You will have to do that all the time. There's no doubt about it.
Like with like a 300 to a 315, the only difference is that tractor beam on the front, and that's pretty hard to spot if you're looking at them from afar.
Well, 315
right?
has no gun on front. It's like there's no gun.
Wait, does the 300 have a nose gun?
Yes.
325 does.
No, they all have it. It's just different size. 325 has size 4 and 3.
Size 4.
Yeah,
okay.
But unless I'm wrong, but I don't think I am, because I fly these things a lot. So the thing is, let's put it this way. You know how we talked about how connected we get to a brand, which is one of the best things that Star Citizen does? Like, you are, for example, a Drake pilot. You're all about Drake.
Yeah.
And I'm all about Misk, for example. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. But there's a connection between you and these ships. It's just like
Crusader for me, but yeah.
Yeah, sure. Well, I was just taking like something for an example.
Yeah.
And it's the whole package that gives me. I kind of love like that metallic, features of Misk, right? It's like the old US airplanes or whatever. It just like feels like Freelance Trade City. I'm like, I love this base color of it. I don't like Max because it's orange, but I really like the basic one because it's fucking it looks good. And I kind of feel like with skins and everything, we are going to lose part of this.
Maybe, though I will say that this has always been the intention. Like, it's always been the intention that you're going to be able to customize the color of your ship skin.
I know.
I think in an MMO, I really do think that that's necessary. You have to have some way to kind of differentiate yourself.
I hate that. I'm an MMO player, and I'm not the only one, right? There's no way I'm the only one, right? Just like probably majority of people are with you on this, but I'm sure there are people who one of the reasons why I like the older World of Warcraft expansions is because people cannot fucking change what they have on them. You get the fucking sword, and I know exactly and there's so much to it when you get, I don't know, whatever.
Okay, I see what you're saying, and I will say, like, maybe the transmog is taking it a little bit too far, but at the same time, in the case of WoW transmogs, they're changing all the features. They're not just changing the color of the armor, right? Like, it's fully changing the way that armor looks.
Yeah, but if I look at other games,
than putting a skin on.
Yeah, but if I look at Elder Scrolls or Final Fantasy 14, I don't even know what the fuck people are using, because everything's so different. Like, everyone colors it different. My brain cannot process like all the things that you can use, although all these games can do transmogs as well. But like, if you can color every piece of gear, especially like more than one color, it just loses its own, I don't know. I guess I love that recognition part, and we're losing it in all of the MMOs lately. And yeah, I don't know, maybe just a boomer take, but
I think Diablo 3 did it really well, personally. Like, I liked, because you couldn't change the features of the armor, you could just change the colors.
Sure, but that's like isometric. It's very easy to recognize, and it's not as detailed, right?
So but basically that's how I see the ship colors in Star Citizen. Like, they have all the same physical features, but the colors, the paint scheme's different. I like that about cars too. Yeah, we're gonna agree. Yeah. But yeah, like even with cars, right? Like, it'd be boring if like all Civics were the same color, all GTIs were the same color,
Well, I'd be okay with something like that, where you have like non-military ship, you can do whatever the fuck you want with them, or like non-specific. This is what I started with. Like, I'm not talking about every ship in game, okay? I'm talking about specific role ships.
Okay.
should be colored specifically. That's all.
Let's run with that then. Let's go the other way and basically say that if a ship is running that particular skin, then it's like like when you're looking at an actual police cruiser, like it's in the official like police skin or whatever, which you can't put on you can't even apply that to your ship unless you have like a certain level of rep, or like if you're a member of a particular military faction or something like that,
so let's
that allows you to.
We have already. So let's say if you're doing Kovalex delivery missions, you have to run their own Kovalex orange and black livery, or if you're doing bounty hunting, you have to use bounty hunting livery, right, on your ship. Is that what you're saying?
Sort of. Bounty, I'm not saying that you have to, but that you can't use that particular livery unless you are affiliated with them. Or, for example, if it's a ship owned by X bounty hunting guild, like it has to be running those that livery. But like, for example, here it is actually a crime to impersonate a police vehicle.
Of course, everywhere.
Exactly.
Man. Like, what do you mean?
You could do something like that too, basically, where like like you can't have a Cutlass Blue with the police skin on it unless you are a police officer, and if you are operating in the capacity of a law enforcement official in whatever system you're in, you have to be rocking that livery.
Well, there's more to it. You're not allowed to paint your car, here in DHL colors and slap a DHL logo on your car. I'm sure it's the same there with FedEx. You can't have a white purple truck with orange purple FedEx on the side unless you're working, because it's copyrighted, right?
You can.
Well,
you just can't have the FedEx label.
Well, that's what I'm saying, like the whole package, right? So when you see a DHL plane or a DHL van, you know what it is, right? It's the same for FedEx. It's the same for TNT. Is that?
Yeah.
No, UPS.
I don't know what UPS is. UPS, sure.
So this visual identity fucking works for people to a point where we came up with the copyright law and all that, because you gotta protect that visual identity, because it just works with your brain in such a crazy way where like the moment you see purple and orange, you're like, oh, FedEx. You know what I mean?
Human pattern recognition. It's something that's
exactly
like built into our brain.
And I think with skins in Star Citizen, we are losing that part of realism and connection to the real world, which is actually even now really well done in Star Citizen. Like we already talked about, like when you buy a ship in Star Citizen, it almost fucking feels like you bought the car in real life. Like you have micro same feeling, right? For fucking item in the game. It's insane.
But you know what's part of that like new car feeling is when you got to pick the color.
Sure. But you
like,
can't pick any color.
When I had my GTI, when I had my GT, well, you can if you take it to a paint shop. Well, I can go whatever color I want.
Sure.
I just can't make it look like a copyrighted thing or like a police vehicle.
But then again, if you see a Ferrari that is not red, black, or yellow, you don't see a fucking Ferrari in it until someone tells you, because that's how much we recognize the color thing. Like if you have lila Ferrari, you fucking what the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I mean?
White. There's white too.
There's white. Sorry, yeah, true. But you know what I'm talking about. Like not every car can be any fucking color.
It can, but it's just it's something you do.
They're not going to sell you that.
No.
Brand new. That's what I'm saying. Like, but they have.
That's another thing they have. That's another thing they have specified in Star Citizen with respect to this is like, when you order a ship, it's going to have basically factory select colors that you could choose from, and then anything you want to do after that, you actually have to take it to like a dumper's depot and have it painted. Which is same as real life.
It should reduce the price of selling that ship later.
Maybe. Well,
it's like open the door and it's like, it's not the first paint.
Yeah. Oh, I'd like that. That'd be good.
What did you do with this shit? Smuggled stuff?
You can tell if somebody skimped out on the paint job or whatever.
Stolen?
Yeah. or it's like or like, you know, like you salvaged like another ship's engine nacelle or whatever, and it's like a
Yeah.
different color on the
Yeah.
side, and you're like, oh my god, what a beater.
Bro, these bolts are red. What's wrong with this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it didn't go the way I expected, but it was fun topic,
Yeah,
for sure
fun.
for me.
Yeah.
So let's go to the progress tracker this week, which you did a lot of research on.
Not really. Just this morning, just kind of breezed over some stuff, but we're not doing.
No, but I mean, there's quite a lot of stuff. So
yeah, so we're skipping absolute zero effort science section this week because I got nothing. I need to do some diving into the Galactopedia to come up with some good topics for that. But today instead, basically, I just kind of like poked around on the progress tracker and just picked out some stuff that jumped out at me, and we can just kind of like have a little bit more speculation, kind of semi-imagination station with some of them. The first one is something I should probably have my own tinfoil hat for.
You want me to use mine while you're talking? Wait.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Because I just went full on conspiracy guy meme with this one. And I was looking at a lot of the stuff in the character art and tech team that's finishing for 314. Or it's not, the work isn't necessarily in 314, but the work is finished either this month or like in May. And it got me thinking, what if we have a dynamic event with a Vanduul invasion of some sort, or infiltration potentially coming? Because, hear me out, on the progress tracker, finishing either last month or this month, like I said, is Vanduul warrior armor, so FPS armor, UEE uniforms, and also quote unquote dynamic event tasks, and none of them are listed with Squadron 42 tags on them, which most of them in the progress tracker, if you click on something and open it up, it'll tell you if it's for Squadron 42. It says so right in the write-up. None of these had it on. So this is kind of where I've started thinking, like, maybe the infiltrator event that they hinted at, or like leaked, or whatever you want to call it, in the Tony Z video involves a Vanduul infiltration. And yeah, I think it would be kind of cool. That would
basically mean that we get Vanduul characters in PU,
FPS in PU, yeah,
and Vanduul ships, which we already have, kind of, because we can fly them.
Yeah,
the ships are already there. You also fight them in the oh shit, if you do Arena Commander, you know, when you get killed by an enemy ship, you see their cockpit and you can see who's flying it. But I think if Vanduul kills you, still see just a helmet.
I think so.
I don't think you see a Vanduul yet.
I didn't check that far to see if like Vanduul character rigs are in game, but I think that would be a cool event, man. Like, even if it wasn't necessarily like a big space like, you know, a space like multi-phase event, even if it was just something like, you know, like there was a small raiding team that made it in and like took over, I don't know, like some
or Tolisar
caterpillar, or no, I'm not even thinking that big.
Oh, okay.
Everybody thinks the Vanduul are gonna blow up Port Olisar because of a video, like a cutscene that got released like years and years ago. I think they're crazy. I don't think that's gonna happen.
I haven't seen that.
Like, this is the thing. Like, Stanton is really far away from the like Vanduul front lines, but like the Vanduul are known to do raids and skirmishes and stuff like that, like way past kind of those actual lines, typically in smaller groups, and you know, and stuff like that. And I think it would be really fun if you like had to basically blow up some Vanduul fighters and then go on to a Starfarer or something like that had been like taken over by them and shoot them in FPS. Okay, tinfoil hat off.
Well, we had part of this already, right? Where literally they spawned the convoy off amongst the other things, starfarers, and then they get attacked by
Yeah,
right, and then
and
we
they had
defend them, and then we go on board these starfarers,
and
and
there's
there's
pirates.
NPCs. Yeah,
Yep. So all that they basically have to do in that case is
change
basically
ships
put
and
the
NPCs,
Vanduul,
right?
put the Vanduul models, character models in them. Um, to kind of top that all off, there's actually stuff in the progress tracker. I'm not sure exactly when it's finishing, so this may or may not be correct, but talking about just like new meshes, navigation meshes that they're putting in for FPS, so that NPCs can actually navigate from ship to ground, you know, ship to space and EVA, etc., and even navigating around kind of like actually on a planet's surface and stuff like that.
When is
So
that supposed to come out?
I am not sure off the top of my head, but it
But
is
it's not now.
supposed to be finishing fairly soon, if not already. I'd have to double check that one. That's why I said I'm not sure if I'm right on that one, but you know, like even if they just did a Xeno threat, you know, like, and then replace the AI on the ship with, or the NPCs on the ship with like Vanduul character models, that'd be cool, man. It's something different.
I personally, my take on this, I don't give a shit anymore. But people would lose their like, shit for something like that. Like first thing, it's FPS, and I know there's some people who play it, and you know those FPS missions are, but it's so all over the place. It just, I feel like I'd rather like puke than go and do an FPS mission, especially right now with fucking desync. And
I will agree with you there. Without the, like, I should say with the caveats on all this, if performance isn't drastically improved when this comes out, I don't think it would be playable or fun. But at the same time, just reducing the player cap by 10 made Xenothreat fairly playable. Even the NPCs on the Starfarers, you know, like were
not
more
as
responsive
bad.
than I'm. Not as bad,
but they were
more
bad,
responsive.
man. Like they have delay at what they're doing. Like you shoot them, and then they are realizing that they're being shot at, and then they start turning. You kill them already, or you get like shot through the fucking wall. And
I got killed by one because I was like not sure if it was an actual player or not.
That's
and he
great.
was just like,
I
he
had
was standing
this
there looking at me with the gun out, and I was like, I didn't want to pull the trigger.
Because the player would do that, right? But the NPC would not. It's just that the fucking server tick is ridiculously low.
Yeah.
So they just like are trying to realize what's happening. By the way, I hope we never get like names and bars above our heads, because I mentioned this, but during the UEE event, fucking there's like NPCs like walking around the main whatever entrance area. No. We're getting like, you know, when you're getting like into the elevators, you know, where the stores are. And then there's some of them are sitting on the chairs, and then we had some players sitting on the chairs, and I was like, wait, is this an NPC or a player? Like I literally no fucking way to figure out what's happening. They're looking at their mobiglass, and I'm like, wait, are NPCs looking at their mobiglass? I can't fucking remember. It makes such a like, and that proves how there's no, like, obviously when we're moving around, the NPCs are walking at the same pace all the time, and players are also running at the same pace all the time. So like you can always figure out who's a player and who's not. But if you wanted to look like an NPC right now in a game, you 100% could, which is kind of crazy.
Okay. This is a total tangent, but I'm pretty sure I had this conversation before on Captain's Table. I want it to be optional, basically. As in, like, if I want my nameplate to be visible over top of my head, I can basically set a setting on my mobiglass that says I'm identifiable. And then if somebody else is, turns that on as well, then they can see my name. And that way, like, for example, like if I'm trying to meet up with somebody for a trade or to like, or whatever, right? Like then it's visible, but like if you're down for that immersion factor, you can keep it off and nobody can tell.
It's not about
Unless they
immersion, it's
scan
about
you
gameplay
directly.
though. So I'll give you a more like non-intrusive solution for this. An option to turn on and off friend list plates, and an option to turn on and off party frames or whatever.
Sure. Yep, that
and
too.
that's it. Like if you invite that person into a party, you can see their name, marker, whatever the fuck.
Or you can turn it off.
In a party, yeah. Oh, but if you're not in a party, you can't see it.
Sure, but why? What is the gameplay repercussions of somebody being able to say, "I'm going to turn my name on publicly"? Like, if that's an option, and you don't have to push that option, then only the people who want to be found are going to have that public kind of like thing on. And at the same time, if you don't want to see it, you could like, so long as it's customizable, I don't really see the issue.
I do.
Why?
Looking for group like Dungeon Finder is optional thing, but people are not making dungeon groups anymore, even though this is just optional and everyone hates it.
Yeah, I don't really see how
because people just like it, there's gonna be, first of all, I mean, you'll have to use it because you're gonna like stab yourself in the back if you don't use it, if it's a thing, because you're just like getting less information. So I'd rather,
yeah, but like, but again, like if there's nothing saying that you have to broadcast that too, so you have a name above your head, like like what's,
I don't want to go into this because I'm gonna get pissed off. I'll tell you right now.
Okay, but
I disagree with you, and that's where I'm gonna stop, because it's an MMO. Like, I think some things should be set in stone and not. It's not a single player game. You should not be able to mod things like this, in my personal opinion. And I'm sick of like games allowing us to mod everything, change everything to our liking. Fucking, I want that to stop.
It's not a mod so much as, like, like you said, you already are going to have potentially like party nameplates and like and friend nameplates as an option. Why is public, that little one tick box that says public, why is that the line? Is why I'm curious.
Don't push me. I don't want to talk about this.
All right, fine. I think that would be fine, but
there.
Yeah.
To a point where I might
one.
realize that I wouldn't play if it's like that. That's how much I'm against it. But I don't want to like go into it. It's fine.
Okay. Speaking of performance issues and how how little performance we have right now, something I think that also jumped out at me when I was looking at the release view, where as per this current roadmap roundup, capacitors and, well, it's now called power gameplay, and their like new HUD system and stuff like that have been officially confirmed for 3.14. I think it's important for people to wrap their heads around the fact that we still might not get Crusader in 3.14, because if you look at Crusader and volumetric cloud tech, neither of those are confirmed yet. And we are like, what, 2 weeks maybe from a PTU release of 3.14? And I think it might be good for people who are hyped about Crusader to start tempering expectations, because I am starting to feel like this one might slip.
I think you said it so well there. Temper your expectations. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if... I'm with you. Like, let's say like 75%, I feel like we will not get the Crusader. Which, honestly, we talked about this, both of us, like, we don't give a shit about that.
No, it doesn't matter. It's just
doesn't
a
change
landing
anything.
zone.
Yeah. I mean, great. Whenever it comes out, sure, I'm gonna go and check it out, like, or watch someone stream or whatever. Like, I want to have it, but at the same time, it's not gonna change anything, right?
Exactly. For me, I would rather have volumetric clouds than Crusader.
100%.
Yeah.
But then it's personal preference, and those who are excited about Crusader fucking enjoy it, and I can't wait. I want it tomorrow for you. So It's not. I'm not like. Neither of us are against Crusader landing into Stanton and finally
No.
finishing it.
We just don't care.
However, we might. Yeah, but it might not happen. But hear me out.
Yeah.
So what if it's already in the game, masked, and
do you
that's
mean?
why we're having desync?
Oh, you think maybe that
They're
they
like
have it
already
basically
implementing it.
simulated in the
Yeah.
game, and that's why the performance is tanked?
Mm. And they're like working on. I'm not a developer, so I don't know if this is
No.
doable. I don't know if it's
Interesting
a
thought,
thing,
though.
but I just like, what if they're just like have it there, we don't see it, and they are trying to like optimize it so to a point where it's kind of playable.
Maybe, but if that's
Probably
not
not.
the case, I really can't see Crusader coming in 3.14.
Sure,
Like the
yeah.
performance is already
It's so bad.
so bad that it's basically unplayable. If you're trying to do any sort of combat, and in a lot of cases, even when you're not trying to do combat, like mining, I was trying to watch Mike mine in that clip that we showed,
Mm.
and where he got pirated, and even he was just like, like desync, boom, rock blows up,
Yep.
like brutal.
Even getting out of the
Brutal.
bed, where I reported that I made it to an elevator, and then rubber banded back into bed, and then someone said they
Yeah.
were. What did they say? They were in the fucking train or something already, and got
Yeah.
rubber banded back in the bed. It's like, holy fuck! I don't know
Yeah.
if this is the same issue, but it sure
Like,
sounds like that's what it is. You know?
No, yeah, like and performance is basically at a critical point right now, and I cannot see them putting in another whole landing zone and a whole planet with all this new volumetric cloud tech on it and stuff like that. Like without some sort of performance boost. So I would say, yeah, temper your expectations. I think Crusader might slip.
Just from an outside amateur standpoint, it just doesn't make sense. We had all these assets, 10 players less, and all these like so much. Like we got the new station, Jericho, and we had these massive ships, and during the event, right, which was now
Yeah.
holy fuck, like 6 months ago, crazy. And the server was better than ever since I'm playing. It was like super good, and then all of a sudden you remove all these assets and the game just becomes unplayable. And therefore I'm like, maybe there's something. You remember like they added Jericho into the game, they didn't tell anyone?
Yeah, and people were like going out there and finding it. Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, here's my kind of, it's not really a counterpoint to this, but part of me wonders if the benefits that we saw during Xenothreat were just due to object container streaming actually being able to do what it meant to do. You know what I mean?
Because everyone's there.
Yeah, if the majority of the server is at the Xenothreat event or around in that area, then it means that basically the server can just stream out everything, pretty much everything else there, until somebody signs on. And I mean, I'm sure like that, like there wasn't, like everybody wasn't always there, but like I wonder if it was just enough of the server was there that SOX, like you said, was doing its job, and and the server tick was higher simply because they were able to cull out more areas in the solar system.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Let me give you my wishful roadmap for next year of Star Citizen server stability solution. Seasons. For 3 months, we get the Crusader, and we are locked in the Crusader system. So we can only play Crusader, Crusader's moons, Theo, do trading there, do missions there, everything. That's it. Then 3 months later, Area 18. Everything else is locked. We know it's there. We know. We tried it. We tested it. You can't play the game. You can't find another player. Everyone's all over the place. Server stability is shit. Play in one system. These are huge, man. For 50 people, they're still huge. But guess what? If you have one one planet,
that's how it used to
you'll
be. There
see
used to
people there.
only There used to only be Crusader system.
Yeah.
And all 50 people were around the. You know what? At first I was like, oh, I don't like that idea. But now that I'm thinking about it,
We have it. Like
sure.
we have it. It's not like
Especially if you were able to roll that out with that dynamic event system, so that it was like populating
there's a
events
reason, right?
in the, in
Yeah.
that whatever zone you're in. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not opposed to that.
And there could be like
You
a
know,
cluster testing. Okay, so all the events for Hurston are happening the next 3 months. Maybe you're all in Hurston. Server works better. You know what I mean? Like just turn off everything except for Hurston. You can't even jump. Fuck, it's gone. And then do it
yeah,
for Microtech, and then do it for like whatever. And
I
then
don't
that's what
hate
you're saying,
that.
like different events surrounding that certain planet, and yeah,
Something, man. Like
yeah.
something's got to give, or I'm calling it here. Crusader's not going to make it.
Oh
It's
yeah,
still not confirmed.
I agree with you about this.
Next one and last one that I got here was, I found a piece in the progress tracker that talks about event one-shot triggers, and this was something that they actually finished in April. And what the card reads basically is that this allows for non-repeating events, i.e., event spawns that go through phases, complete, and then are finished and close. That allows for those to actually happen. So, unlike Xenothreat, where like you would go through the phase and then the event would end, and then it would basically go on cooldown for an hour or whatever, and then it would come back on. This would basically allow for them to basically spawn the event, it goes, it finishes, it closes, and then it goes on cooldown, and then when the next event spawns, it's potentially a different event that goes and completes and finishes. And I hope we see this, honestly, in the next 3.14, 3.15, because, and I will agree, like it's not gonna be like, oh my god, the game's different now, but it's just something to make it feel more alive. It's not, I'm online, what do I do? Oh, I guess I go grind some bounty missions. Maybe I'll jump over to Crusader and grind some bounty missions over there. It's like you're doing that, and then you get a notification that pops up and says, lockdown happening over here. And then you can decide, I just feel like grinding bounty missions, or, oh, cool, I'm going to go do this event, and go play that.
Do you ever do ECN alerts or stuff like that?
I used to, but then they were so buggy with like the shit not spawning and then like randomly getting crime stats from them and stuff like that. I just stopped.
That's what, like, I'm like, sure. And actually, I think if they added this to the game now, it would bring people back to playing for a bit. But I honestly think, like, how many of these can happen? And I think it would get old relatively quickly. Okay, sure, I want it in the game. I'm not opposed, but I wouldn't come back into the game for this at all. And we talked about this slightly before. And for me, you know what? The slump has been happening. There's nothing happening since I started playing. It's like it's so deep that I don't know. Maybe I'm rude, but like I need more than this. And it's not enough.
I think that's fair. No, okay. First of all, that's totally fair. Like I went most of the Xenothreat event without playing Star Citizen, just because I feel like playing Star Citizen. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that, personally. I would check it out because I'd want to see, like what this is about, and it would just make things a little bit more interesting to me. I'm under no illusions that it's like, oh, it's going to fix the game, and now I'm going to be, playing it for hours and hours for weeks at a time. It would still very much be something where I like show up, do some events, and then if I enjoy it, then I come on the next day and I do it basically until I get bored. But I still do think that it would be an improvement over the utterly stagnant way that they're doing now. And I'm hoping that that's what I'm reading in this card. You know what? I should be wearing a tinfoil hat for all of this, because that's all this is. So to be fair, I did say that this was all speculation based on the progress tracker.
Maso's magic 8-ball section.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's call it that. I'm gonna rename it this.
I just want to add to this, like, obviously any content, like, we need content in this game, but I don't think repeatable content does it anymore, and it could. As a matter of fact, I think, okay, so this will sound crazy, but I really think that we have more than enough content in the game for it to be fun. Okay? I know it sounds crazy, but hear me out. If it mattered for something, this is more than enough content. So if we had actual progression for everything you're doing, if you could achieve something for continuously grinding some, same gameplay, whatever, I don't know, if you had something to lose, but like that was meaningful so that you can actually care about it or stuff like that. So yes, adding content is important.
I see where you're coming from, for sure. I personally, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's more than enough, but I think you're right in that, like, if the gameplay was deeper in general, if things mattered more, if you had rewards, if your deaths mattered, if and if performance was at a point where basically it could allow for the game to play like that, I get what you're saying. Basically, like, we have a couple different combat missions, we have a couple different delivery missions, etc. I guess we don't have any mining, whatever, but I see where you're coming from. Like, adding more content isn't going to fix the issue, the underlying issues of where the game is right now.
I think
it's not going to fix it. And that's why like throwing in these events, you're right. I mean, I even said so. Like, it's like, even if they had these random events that were popping up or whatever, it's not enough to make me it might not be enough anyways, I should say, because we don't know until we played it. It might not be enough to hold me to the game, you know what I mean? Because the game itself is still, like you said, I mean, like, nothing
shallow.
Matters.
It's shallow, yeah. We need articulation of what we have already, and not like just piling up more and more stuff. Again, I'm not opposed to it. Like, obviously, more content is not a bad thing by no means. So sure,
but it's not going to fix it.
But it's not. Yeah, it's not going to make it matter. And what I see is, like, if we had these events that you are predicting, I think it would be fun for people for like a week or two, and they will be like,
totally.
It's maybe just the same as ECN and or whatever the fuck. There is.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you. And you know what? Actually, here's a good example of this. Let's use Valheim as an example. That game has very little content when you think about it, but the game itself is good and it's fun and it's got some depth to it.
Because everything you do matters.
Yeah, and that's the reason that I played it for hundreds of hours, like ultimately there's only 5 bosses. The bosses themselves kind of suck, there's only a few mobs, and the mobs themselves, they're challenging when you're under geared, but once you kind of learn how they fight,
mind-blowing, right? Experience.
Exactly, it's not mind-blowing, but it's still fun.
Yeah.
Like, I loved playing that game. I couldn't wait until I could start up that game again. So yeah, like, you're right. Just adding content isn't going to fix anything, but it's better than nothing at this point.
True. And so here, where my problem with this stems is, CIG needs to finally agree with themselves about what they are doing right now. As in, like, is this an alpha?
Yeah.
Or is this a live service pre-release game? And the moment they realize this and stick to it, like for real, not how the wind blows, like, if they if it suits them, it's an alpha. If it suits them, it's a live service, fuck that, dude. Like, the moment they realize this, so sure, if it's an alpha and all we do is testing, then just throw something in and I'll go and play my 3 hours a patch, and so that I can be data for you to like fix things, whatever. I'm gonna pay you to be your QA. But if you're selling this as a live service unfinished game, then it needs to start making sense in some way, or what the fuck are we doing, you know?
I know that you kind of roll your eyes whenever I go on about how much Tony Z, you know, blah blah blah, but that is the system that I think will add the depth. That when do we get
that? But again, like, it's gonna add depth, but it technically is in already. But again, will it matter at the time? Like, it will be impressive. It will be very impressive to have it in game, but will it matter? Like, things need to start mattering. For me personally, it's like,
I hear that, but it's like, it's that interconnection basically of systems that can cause that can give you that reward, and that can cause those things to matter. And that's what I think, like, honestly, it's probably why things are so stagnant right now, because again, like, if you have that kind of in the works, why do you spend time and developer effort and money, you know, throwing money at like dev time to like churn out stuff that's going to be overwritten in a couple years? But
I'm okay with that as well. That's what I'm saying. If they are like, okay, fuck it, let's stop this with this charade, and it's an alpha, guys. Okay, sorry, like, it's just an alpha. That's what it is. Thank you for your support and testing. Hey, they're not doing things wrong, except for like it takes too long, in my opinion. But it is what it is. Yeah, but
it is what it is.
It's exactly okay. Then I'm not gonna feel guilty about not playing the game. You know what I mean? Like, I did probably about 2,000-3,000 hours already of giving them, you know, a lot of data. There's new people who are going to do it every now and then. A couple times a year I might jump in and try a new ship and then play for a couple of sessions and not feel bad about not playing the game, because there is no game, right? But right now I'm in this void for what, like, over 2 years now, where I'm like, wait, is this a game? Should I play this as an MMO? Nah. And then I start playing. I'm like, wait, man, I'm not playing my game, you know? Like, it's just like,
because you want it to be a game so badly.
And they are selling it as a game whenever it suits them. That's the problem, right? So
totally.
So they don't know where they're standing, and you don't know where they're standing if you're following them. Like, you have to make up your own mind. But especially if you're a content creator, which now that we're only doing this and I'm not streaming it anymore, I don't care anymore. Like, I you know, but back then, when, like, I have to log in and play the game, you know what I mean? Like, it just, that's how it goes. And I'm like, what the fuck am I playing? And I can't squeeze any more out of this.
Yeah, that's fair. I've been there a few times,
I know.
Obviously. But yeah.
So yeah, sure. If like, so events, thumbs up, nothing wrong with it. Sure, I want that to happen. Same goes for your Vandal attack. And Crusader, if it's already in, amazing, or if it's coming, amazing. But all of these at the same time are, if none of these happens, I'm like,
yeah, that's fine. I'm kind of at the same place, man. It's like, you know, I'm gonna keep playing Stellaris until something jumps out that's fun. Though I will say that if we did have these like rotating events, I would definitely come in and check it out.
I know you would.
So I gotta say, man, like,
and 3 months ago, I would as well. Right? You know me. Like, since I started playing until 3 months ago or 2 months ago, I was fucking playing Star Citizen all the time. Stream, off stream, doesn't matter. And then I just got to a point where I just don't see a reason to play the game anymore, which just don't mean, like, some people read this as I don't give a shit about a game anymore. No. I'm there. I'm watching videos. I'm watching podcasts, listening. I'm making one. You know, like, I whenever you come to my stream, I might be playing fucking ridiculous shit like House Flipper. We still talk about, like, fucking, you know, Star Citizen. It's not. I'm always in it, but I just, like, I need them to figure out where they are so that I can, like, play like that. Yeah.
Oh, that 100%. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's where a lot of people are at now. Like, I think actually, like we touched on with the wait, did we touch on the morph video in the last gossip, or did that come out after?
That came out after, and
Came out.
that's for
We'll talk about that in the
Wednesday
gossip
for
section,
sure. Yeah.
But
Oof.
yeah, I mean, if you're here or whatever, like, watch that morph video. I think it was a really good kind of like representation of just like where a lot of people in the community are right now. And
If you're dependent on CAG to make a living or make any kind of content, you are in a super fucking rough spot right now. As a matter of fact, in my now 4 years of streaming, I haven't felt this bad, you know, as a content creator with a game that I take as my home, home base.
Yeah.
As I do now with Star Citizen. To a point where I just don't feel like that anymore. I'm so grateful that we're doing the podcast because, yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude.
You got to get it out somewhere. Though I will say, I don't know, it's a blessing and a curse because I personally, like, one of the things that's kept me here for so long has just been the ability to step back, when I'm not super interested, not having the stress, right? Because I wasn't a content creator. So there's a double-edged sword there for sure.
Sure. Yeah. I'm used to that kind of stress, so I guess.
But yeah. Anyways, that's pretty much all I have for the now titled Maso's Magic 8-Ball section.
Nice, I love it. So we can have either that or zero, absolute zero effort.
Zero effort, yeah. I got to do some diving into the
but I'm fine with having one or the other. I mean, it's
totally
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so I also wanted to say something. I need to write down into notes. So from now on, and if anyone of those who are listening, and by the way, holy moly, guys, like, you guys are listening long hours now. We're seeing the metrics, and the amount of hours listened in our latest podcasts, like couple, has jumped up like a lot. And we know that there's a lot of people like us who enjoy very long podcasts. So last week's was like 4.5 hours. But yeah, if you made it this far, what I'm thinking about, and I'd like someone's feedback on this, is like, we can start our show and do the news, right? Not the news, sorry, the whatever we did in the game or outside of the game, and then or even before that, like, announce what we are going to talk in today's show. So like, like in this episode we are going to have ICSCL in the news, and then our topic is this, and then the imagination stations, and this week we have Maso's Magic 8-Ball section,
right,
or
right,
and then you can find in the stamps down there, because we do add stamps on YouTube, but like, except for we don't when we don't, but that's all me, by the way.
Time. Yeah, that's all. Yeah,
it's all
Jack's fault. It's all Jack's fault.
Yeah,
I just sit here. I just show up. That's my job.
But I think it would be cool for people who are just not interested in, for example, IC or SCL banter, and just like,
or me going to a racetrack.
Everyone should be interested in that.
Everyone should be interested in that. I drove a car real fast, and then I bought a computer.
Did not crash it. Okay, so let's have a I would say, like, kind of soft imagination station.
Yeah. I don't know how much there's going to be to talk about here, but yeah.
But yeah, it's something you came up with. You own Polaris. I don't. Like, these ships, both of the ships we're going to talk about are too big for my interest. Again, like always, I love having these ships in the game. I'm just not interested in piloting them. But they are like super important ships, especially in specific operations that they're going to be part of, as we believe now. We're talking about Polaris and Perseus, and since this was your topic, I'm just going to let you explain what we are going to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. So since the Perseus came out, I've been seeing a lot of people comparing it to the Polaris and going on about how, like, they think that the Perseus is going to be vastly superior to the Polaris because, you have fewer crew required, and you know, these big ass guns versus torpedoes and things like that. And I feel like I feel like the entire time I've just been thinking to myself, like, okay, I mean, like, you can like whatever ship you want, but I
Of
feel
course.
like a lot of people might be maybe not really thinking about what the gameplay implications of some of the specs that they're looking at on paper are going to be.
Um,
And
can I just interrupt you for a bit?
yeah, yeah,
So this is obviously our imagination station. So
yeah,
none of this is set in stone. And
no,
my preface to all this is the reality is, I don't know if CIG knows, but we definitely have no fucking clue about how the combat, especially positional combat, especially fleet combat, will
especially
look like
multi-crew combat,
exactly
yeah,
until we see it. And
totally.
I don't think this will come out at any time soon. However, what we can think of is, imagine certain situations based on the specs that these ships are
Yeah,
basically coming with.
yeah. And specifically what I'm focusing on here isn't necessarily a Polaris versus Perseus spec war, you know,
Yeah.
versus on paper. It's I'm thinking more along the lines of like what gameplay could be involved from an imagination perspective, you
Mm.
know, with either of these two ships.
And should you even
And
think about like these two as competitors? Like,
no. And
well, that's
that's
what, yeah.
basically my point.
Yeah.
That's basically my point is I think people are making a mistake when they are comparing the Perseus to the Polaris because I feel like the gameplay involved in them is going to be drastically different. And ultimately I'm just going to go out and say I feel like at least from what I'm seeing right now, I feel like Perseus owners may be a little overhyped by what they're seeing on paper.
Here's how
With
I see
respect
it.
to like what the ship could actually end up being in the verse, in the actual universe kind of thing. Okay, go.
To me, Polaris is a huge ass. To compare this to like what we have nowadays, right? Is a huge ass submarine. So
Yeah,
it's your long range, long sustained time operation,
yeah.
stealthy kind of
As stealthy
multi-crew.
as a capital ship can be, anyways.
Of course, but like what kind of
Yeah.
an op? Like behind enemy lines,
Yep.
wait for a
Yeah.
right moment to attack with
Yeah.
huge size 10 long range torpedoes, followed by fighter tour, like I don't know, like stuff like that, right?
Or just getting the fuck out of Dodge
And
after
then
you've launched
yeah,
those
and then
torps.
run away, right? Mission successful, and that's it. Or even I kind of see it as even like, okay, we can't execute this, fuck it, let's go home.
Yep.
Where Perseus is an intimidating,
It's
like
a big stick.
power, yeah, power
Yeah.
source where it can. It's. You think you mentioned this? It's like two sides are having a standoff, and one has Perseus on its side, and
Yeah.
the chances are their side will probably have to give up because this
They'll
thing
back
can.
down if they don't have an
Yeah.
answer to that Perseus.
Exactly.
So,
That's
like,
exactly what it is. You need an answer to Perseus, and I don't see a situation where you need an answer to Polaris. Polaris is like,
yeah.
oh shit, Polaris happened.
Well, okay, no. Like, I think there are probably situations where a Polaris could be,
Oh, 100%. Like,
in that role
this-
as well. But
like
yeah,
we're not like there's situations where you can make a situation for any of this. You can go
yeah,
as a fleet
yeah.
of 10 Polarises and only whatever Hawk escorts, whatever the fuck, you can do whatever you want, right? But like the idea of it is, oh shit, there's like 7 size 10 torpedoes coming our way on the radar. There's a Polaris somewhere. What do we do with it? Versus we're fighting this other force, and oh god, they have two Perseus. How do we respond now to, because Percy will fight and Polaris will hit and run, right? Basically that's what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think like that's one of the examples I used before we went live here is that like if you are a pirate group that is aiming to take down larger ships like a hull, or I mean, hell, even a caterpillar, like, you know, like any sort of like larger hauler ship like that, and the pirate crew jumps in there, they have you interdicted, and they have a Perseus there. Guess what? You're not going to try to fight, you know, because that Perseus is going to rip that cargo ship open. You know, 4 size 7s are basically going to just punch holes in that ship until it's not moving anymore. So like that's the sort of gameplay I can like one example of gameplay I can see with it, right?
Probably scrap it to use that material to you know, make bullets again, because it's gonna be fucking expensive to fire that shit.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, that's any large ship, right? Like, you're not pulling those things out except for a situation where it's worth it to pull it out. And if you're, you know, if your aim is to basically rob a Hull C, an entire Hull C blind, you know, showing up with a Perseus is going to probably make that Hull C just say, okay,
take it.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, take it.
Yeah.
You know,
or
like,
you split it in half, and then you take it that way.
Exactly. Yeah. But
kind of funny,
you know,
even the brochure of Perseus is like the Perseus flying through ship that is cut in half, which a lot of people thought that it was rammed.
It was gonna ram. Yeah,
but in reality, it just like fucking blew through it and just like going through, because that's it. That ship is
so
done.
I do think that the Perseus is going to be fun from just a straightforward violence perspective, but I also think that at the same time it could end up relegated to gameplay situations that would maybe be kind of boring, you know, like for example, if you're showing up to rob freighters and you never get to use those size 7 guns because those freighters are just surrendering as soon as they see the Perseus.
Well, I see another role for Perseus. For me, Perseus is actually a support ship. So in big battles, let's say you have Idrises, you want a couple of Perseus around them.
Sure. Oh, right? 100%. From a fleet battle perspective, yeah, the Perseus is going to basically just be like an amazing violence platform.
Yeah. and you really need them. Like, they are your destroyers basically in naval fleets.
Flankers too, man. Like, those would be good flankers because they're small enough to basically be able to get potentially into weaker, like you know, firing into something's engines while a larger ship of the line has it engaged or something like that.
But they're big enough to be intimidating for, like, you know. Yeah, I mean, they're gonna be brutal, but it's just different. But even if you bring Polaris into the fleet, that's gonna be your backline. It's gonna be way behind you, and it's like firing torpedoes and be almost like a support ship. I think that's how I see it. Unless you want it to be like capable to like go to the other side and like start firing those torpedoes so that the enemy starts flying your way, and then you have them in the trap or whatever the fuck, you know, stuff like that, or finishing them off or whatever.
To finish off with where I'm going with the Perseus basically is that if it's basically relegated to A, patrol duty, B, big fleet battles, or C, piracy, let's just stay with those for now. You know, like that's pretty limited. So how many times are you going to be able to, you know, like how many situations are you going to encounter, and how frequently are you going to be able to encounter them with a Perseus versus something like the Polaris, which I think is a little bit more versatile. It's got the fighter bay, for example. And the other thing is, like, I feel like it's something that can, like, it doesn't need necessarily, in my imagination brain, it doesn't need a fleet to be kind of useful, right? Like, you're not going to take a Perseus out by itself.
No, it's a small submarine with its own escort. That's what it is. Well, it's a big submarine, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's standalone operation, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because it is actually, I mean, in lore anyways, it's supposed to be kind of like a military patrol ship to kind of like patrol sectors and stuff like that, you know, pretty much by itself. But I think you also nailed it with the submarine gameplay, and I think one of the main reasons I think that's, you know, that's sort of like deep behind enemy lines preying on like big freighters or ships in dry dock, and being able to do it without getting spotted. I think the key for that is the fact that if you look at it on paper anyways, it has a capital class sensor suite. And as we know, the direction they're going with stealth in this game is just basically
signature.
Can you detect somebody before they can detect you?
Yep.
So if you're able to lower your signature on that Polaris to a point where you are detecting people with that capital class scanner suite before they're detecting you, that basically lets you do, like you said, submarine or U-boat kind of things where it's like, like you're scanning for a target of opportunity, you and your crew or whatever, maybe utilizing something like a terrapin as a scout out of your bay to like, to get specific information on where your targets of opportunity actually are. Jumping in, lobbing a bunch of nasty ass torpedoes at a big cargo ship. Not U-boat? Why not?
Because U-boat is surprise, motherfucker. Okay, so
that's
U-boat.
Kind of what I'm saying.
No, but I don't see Polaris like that. U-boat is like. By the way, U-boat is a submarine, but it's like German submarine.
Yeah,
it's like small.
World War II.
It's small, limited crew. It sounds bad, but it's like dispensable submarine. It's supposed to deal damage, and then either survive or not. It is what it is, and that for me is Retaliator. Like we have U-boat in the game.
You think so?
Yeah. What is Tali? That's what Tali is. It's like you have a small crew of like 5 people, and they have big ass torpedoes, and they're stealthy, and they're like doo-doo, and then shit, let's run and use these guns to protect ourselves if someone survived. That's it. For me, the way I see Polaris is like, dude, you're there, you are figuring out if you can succeed or not, and then based on that you deal an impact that it is like a final impact almost, and it's gonna happen, or you just don't. It's like, okay, again, imagination station, right? Like don't take this as we're not like developing the game, or like we don't know if these ships are going to do this, but this is how I see small submarine, definitely something like Eclipse and Tali, and then this is because how many people do you have on your Polaris?
I'm not sure about the actual
but it's a whole operation, right? Like you have your ship.
It is
the ship gives it so much, the bay gives it so much
I mean, this is coming from the Matrix of Lies here, so max crew 14, min 6.
Sure. So here's how I see it as well. Like it can be, you can have, the ship bay gives you such a versatility here, because you can have a fighter, you can have a stealthy ship, right? Explorer, you can have whatever the hell, you can have a ship in disguise that can like go and or you can have a blockade or whatever like you can have whatever you want there. Also, you can have a couple more ships around it that can utilize the bay, right? Because you can just leave your ships next to it and sleep on board Polaris, right?
I have to interrupt you. You said that you could hear birds can you hear my cat snoring?
No, I can't hear anything now. Maybe because of the music.
So loud.
I love that. That's so cool, man.
Okay, sorry, continue.
So loud that you heard it through your headphones and had to like check what's happening.
I was like, what is that sound? And it's just him passed out in the chair next to me, just snoring his face off.
It's so cool. No, that's it. I just feel like that's the difference. That's why this is a big. Okay, so this is now me nerding a bit. During the World War II, before the A-bomb was dropped on Japan had 3 submarine carriers around United States, and like more of like around central
they had those
Central
like mini
America.
sub things.
They were mini carrier things. They were like huge submarines that can eject a plane from it that is carrying like nuclear warhead. And so there were 3 of these. One got lost, which is why they never executed. They couldn't meet at the right place. one made it back to Japan, and the last one was captured by US. Which there's a crazy great story that both sides. There's a documentary about this on YouTube where both sides are like now very old people, right? But veterans of both sides talking about this, where back in the days Japanese were very, how do I say this? They were ready to, they were very willing to give their life for their country, right? So we had kamikaze at a time and all that. So the problem is that the Navy, States Navy, actually captured this submarine. They found it, and they captured it, but everything inside was in Japanese, so they couldn't operate this. Right? You just can't. So what they had to do, that they had to stay on board this submarine, holding Japanese military hostage, Navy hostage, and relying on them actually operating this submarine without, kamikaze. It's crazy. And then you hear these Navy, like US Navy guys saying like that was the worst experience ever, because how do you trust a kamikaze? Can you imagine the pressure? Now this is what I see Polaris as. Like it's a huge ass submarine with fucking deadly torpedoes. And I always feel like this was the inspiration for Polaris, because it has a bay, it has its own,
maybe.
Listen, you can have what's her name, Eclipse on board, right? Because she can fold her wings and everything. So you can have on a stealthy big submarine, you can have a small submarine with fucking size 9 torpedoes.
That's a good call, man.
That's crazy, dude. Like that thing is so scary. To a point where I can see I think it will be very, very strategic vehicle, ship in a way where you can send it behind enemy lines without enemy knowing where you are, and then poking them so that they have to run away from the source of torpedoes and whatnot, and get straight into Perseus, or like 7
or
Perseus and Idris, or whatever the fuck.
Even just being able to cause so much of a potential threat that your enemy has to basically pull forces back from where they should be up on the front, back to a place where they're either searching for these Polaris, or this Polaris potentially, or reinforcing their supply lines, because man, I never even thought about putting an Eclipse on there, but you absolutely can, because you can fit a Vanguard in that
It's so versatile, man. Yeah, you can have a drop ship, you can have another stealth ship, you can have
I still think that a Terrapin might end up being like
Interceptor. You can have any kind of interceptor on it as well. Like it gives it.
Terrapin, you could probably fit a Terrapin and like an additional ship on it, like an Arrow or something, even potentially, if you wanted.
Surprised.
Yeah. Anyways,
so it's much more versatile in my opinion than Perseus, and they both have their place. I think these are two extremely powerful ships. I think Perseus is more action based, especially in fleet gameplay, but I don't see how these can be. Are they priced no? Perseus is cheaper, right?
A little bit. They're pretty close, though.
But that's why people are comparing them, right?
It is why people are comparing them, and again, I think that the temptation is there to compare them when you're just looking at things from like an on-paper perspective. But I do seriously think that Perseus owners may want to tone down their hype a bit, because I do think that the amount of situations you'll be able to dust off a Perseus and go slug it out could end up being less than the times where you'd be able to use a Polaris, just because of that versatility.
I 100%. Not only that, but don't forget, Polaris can be an exploration platform, like almost like base of operations, because of how big it is, and just having it's so much more versatile. That's
a reason I pulled the trigger on a CCU from my Carrack to a Polaris, because I think that a Polaris will probably be able to do a lot. I don't think it'll be really as good as the Carrack in certain things, but I think it'll be able to do a lot of what the Carrack can do.
It all comes down to what the meta will be like, and how CIG wants to, like if if they don't give you an ability, well, again, like fucking, I was about to say that if you can't for like scientific signatures with a military ship, which they could do for gamifying, reasons.
Yeah.
But then again, you can have 315 on board. You know what I mean? Like you can still use it as something else. While Percy is just a very militaristic ship, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's built for one thing, and that is to punch people in the face. It's a powerhouse.
Like there's no doubt. Like it's brutal, intimidating, looks beautiful. Don't get me wrong, and it does. Yeah, it has vehicle bay as well, right? Yes,
it looks like an actual ship.
It has a fucking bridge as well, right? And, and it has a vehicle bay. If I'm not wrong, like you can have a ground vehicle. I
don't know. Maybe
I think you have a rover in it. I'm not sure. I can check. But anyways, it's just hard for me to compare these two. It's almost like
that's exactly it. I think
probably be cool to like serve on the Polaris if I'm a Perseus pilot, because I kind of feel like that's so situational. But again, it depends on how. If we end up having fleet battles on daily basis. You are better off with the Perseus, because
if that's what you want to do, then
well,
like
that's what I'm saying.
If all
like
you want is to like fleet action, then the Perseus is like a clear win.
But you might have like more action in Perseus if we're having daily or hourly fleet battles, because that's how the game is.
Or
so
if
we
you're
don't
part
know
of
that.
like if you're part of like one of the huge orgs and they're at war with another org, I'm sure there'll be plenty of opportunities to go use that Perseus.
I 100% think there's place for both of these ships, and more of a similar ships to.
But I think that's basically what I was trying to get at, and that was that like it's a mistake to compare them. They do different things.
I couldn't agree more. Like it's so true.
The only reason you should be comparing them is if you want to do both, and you're trying to figure out which one you like more.
This is what I wasn't aware, because I'm just not in I don't care about these ships, as you know, and this is why I asked you if the price is similar, because I don't remember, and I'm so confused by the comparison of these ships. It's so strange to me. It's like, to me, you can add 890 jump to this comparison. Like they're all different ships, if it's only the price, and it just makes no sense to me.
Like I said, I think the main reason that I ended up putting this on here was because it's a conversation that I continue to see in various Discords and like on social media and stuff like that, is that kind of like Polaris to Perseus comparison. And there you go. There's our imagination station take on why you shouldn't be looking at Polaris versus Perseus. You should be looking at them for what they could do.
I thought you were gonna have everything in this one. I don't think I'm gonna talk about this much because it's just not my thing. But I really enjoyed this conversation.
You know what the key was? I think it was like putting it down to kind of more of a naval.
100%. That always gets me going, man. I love it. Exactly. And for those who are like,
all I had to do was say U-boat, and it was like, oh, there's Chag. He's in now. It's not a U-boat.
By the way, I haven't served in Navy or anything like that. I'm a pacifist by nature and choice, and I just love ships. For those who don't know, as Maso is like a space nerd, I'm a ship nerd. I love ships, and that's like, I watch a lot of material, on YouTube and read about it, and that's why. So I'm not, and a lot of these things I might be wrong because my sources are not, solid or whatever. It's just I'm very curious about it. That's all. So yeah, I am very connected to the ships, as most of you know. I used to work on board cruise ships for many years, but it's not military stuff. So it's kind of funny. Like, we have a lot of people who did in the community. So you can, especially if you listen to our Stanton Gossip, very often we come up with people who used to serve on some kind of vehicles similar to what Star Citizen has to offer, and then their take. Recently we had that with
drinkers with gaming problems, and
with tanks, and we had it with like rescue missions and with tanks as well, right? That's what you brought up recently.
The two tankers.
That was good. Okay,
it was fun.
As I think we don't really have any questions this time. There was a lot of
lot of chatter. But I
But we
don't
can
think
go
any-
through that. But I don't think we had any questions. So if you have nothing to add, Mr. Maso, I am proposing, the end of this one. Conclusion.
I concur. If you made it this far, I think this is one of our shortest episodes, actually.
Yeah, sub 3 hours, man.
If you made it this far, thank you. If you wouldn't mind throwing us a like or a subscribe, if you're watching this on YouTube, that will be great. We just do this for fun. We don't monetize or anything, but it is kind of fun when people like our shit. If you want to carry on any of the conversations that we were having here, feel free to do it in the comments. We usually have pretty lively comment section going on, though I will say I have to apologize for the last gossip section. I only kind of got around to the comments today. I forgot to mention this. I've been on vacation for the last 3 days. Not actually vacation, just like around the house vacation, but busy.
It's a beautiful thing about YouTube, man. You can react to it in 10 days and it's still viable. You know what I mean? Like, it's not...
Yeah.
I love that, man. I'm a Twitch person, but I really enjoyed the interaction on YouTube. And just, going back, you can go back and read the comment and like rethink and say, I ended up apologizing a couple of times and whatnot. And it's just like, I love that interaction. Thank you guys for doing that. It means a lot. It's a lot of fun.
Totally. And if you are one of our regular commenters, hi guys. And thanks for the support in the comments and stuff like that. Really appreciate it.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your week and stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you all Wednesday for the next Stanton Gossip.
Yep.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.